who grew up in a
From farm to plate, do you really know what you're eating? Any glitch in the circuits of the food chain can change the price and size of what you eat. Technology has changed the face of farming, but how is Ghana plugging in? Join Jesse Aram Agbakpo, Emmanuel Bright Kweku on the food chain as they project startups in the Agric sector, highlight the gains and plight of industry players while engaging with experts for more insights in Agric-related issues. Food chain, everything agriculture and more, as during the Joy Business Report every Thursday at 1 p.m. on Joy FM and every Saturday at 6 p.m. on the Joy News channel, with a repeat on Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m.
Hello, good morning, and welcome aboard to the AM show on Joy News. It's so lovely to have you join us and choose us for your morning. Before we dive into our big conversations this morning, I will bring you AM News. Yes, of course, I'll bring you up to speed with the very latest developments making the headlines. Now to matters arising. Pressure is mounting on the energy minister, with the minority pushing for his removal. But is this a case of legitimate accountability or a rush to judgment in the face of ongoing power challenges and energy sector reforms? So, beyond our borders, there's also protests in South Africa, and this is raising some fresh concerns about the safety of foreign nationals, including Ghanaians. So, what protections exist, and what must government do to ensure citizens abroad are not left vulnerable? We'll be having that conversation here on News Review shortly. And here at home, a strong message from the Catholic bishops insisting the church will not be silenced as it seeks to uphold what it describes as a divine mandate. But where should the line be drawn? People, between moral voice and political influence. We'll delve into that. And also on this developing story in Binduri, grief and outrage following a deadly attack on a Ghana Armed Forces escort convoy, leaving 10 people dead. It is a stark reminder of the fragile security situation, of course, in parts of the Upper East region, and also the urgent need to find lasting solutions to these problems. So, we'll unpack all of these with our panel this morning. Joining us, Dr. Akufo-Addo. She's Deputy Spokesperson to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We'll also be joined by Amanda Akwo-Clinton. She's Head of Chambers at Clinton Consultancy. We'll also be joined by Bernard Bediakon-Beidu. He's MP for Akwitia, and Kwame Nkrumah Botsio. He's lawyer and political commentator. So we'll have our 4 guests joining us for the news review. Also, we'll bring you another episode of our series, When the Sea Comes Home, by Emmanuel Jivenu. Please do stay with us. Welcome aboard to the AM show. It's an absolute delight to have you. Please stay tuned. I'll be back with the AM news shortly.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,247.
Hey, Abili, wabedim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account. 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
Shield silicone paint repels water, dispels water vapor, is washable, self-cleaning, and durable. Now, you can appreciate how and why Shield silicone paint is super strong and thus able to do what other paints cannot do. Shield silicone paint from Azar Group since 1921.
Guys, do you remember Black Friday last year? The crowd, the excitement, the unbelievable deals. Compu Ghana went all out, and you loved every second of it. Well, guess what? On 1st May, we are doing it again for all cherished workers. The vibe, the discount, the savings. That's why we call it May Day Mega Friday. This May, we celebrate you, the best worker, the hustler, the backbone of Ghana, with discount up to 70% off. Yes, you heard it right. Compu Ghana is doing it the Compu Ghana way. One day only. Do not think, just shop. All products from phones to laptops, printers, TVs,
fridges, air conditioners, and everything you need to upgrade your home and hustle. But it's only on 1st May. One day, if you miss it, it's gone. So, rush to any Compu Ghana showroom nationwide this Friday or shop online at CompuGhana.com. You can call us on 0302 752020 or WhatsApp 0243 143 143. See you on May Day Mega Friday.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time, our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Imagine a family without a home. Imagine a song without a voice. Imagine a church without prayers. Imagine a government without citizens. Imagine democracy without journalists. Imagine a world without the media. Life is full of issues and stories about people, communities, and governments. Stories that have to be told by well-trained journalists. That's why you can't imagine news without Joy News.
Welcome back to the AM News. Now, in our very first story, the acting chairman of the Kumasi Presbytery of the Global Evangelical Church, Reverend Kwame Emmanuel Bosu, says he made a passionate appeal to the government to fast-track the passage and implementation of the anti-LGBTQ+ bill. Speaking at the 2026 Consultative Conference, he observed the passage of the bill will critically safeguard the values and practices of faith in Ghana. There's more in the following report.
Ghana's parliament has been holding stakeholder engagements on the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill, also known as the LGBTQ+ bill. Parliament hopes to finalize the legislation as all key stakeholders are allowed to propose amendments to the initial bill, which did not receive presidential assent. The Kumasi Presbytery of the Global Evangelical Church, made up of 43 districts from 8 regions, wants a speedy passage of the bill. Reverend Kwame Mojo, who is optimistic of the passage of the bill, is reminding the president to fulfill a campaign promise he made to fast-track the passage.
We want to appeal to the government to fast-track the process of anti-LGBTQ+ bill. This is also critical to us as Christians, as Christian nation, because it truly indicates our values and our practices as we follow Christ.
The Global Evangelical Church has also called on President Mahama to take decisive action to halt environmental degradation. The church observed illegal mining operations have destroyed the environment while water bodies are gravely polluted.
Under the leadership of President John Dramani Mahama, Ghanaians are hopeful to see decisive action taken to halt the menace of environmental degradation and pollution of our water bodies caused by irresponsible mining activities, particularly or popularly known as galamsey.
Meanwhile, the Global Evangelical Church prayed for peace in the Middle East conflict, urging America and Israel to implement a ceasefire. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ministerial reporting.
And to some other stories, the contractor for the 24-hour economy market project in Elmina, Howard, Ghana Limited, has assured traders that construction will be completed within 15 months, well ahead of the government's projected 24-month timeline. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, the managing director, Kwesi Frimpong, explained that the expedited schedule is intended to enable traders to return to the site quickly and resume their business activities.
The 24-hour economy market is one of government's key interventions aimed at boosting economic activity. Reiterating the importance of the project, the municipal chief executive for Commander Dinegwafo-Abrim, Ismail Zagun Said, stated that Elmina was fully endorsed by the municipality as the most suitable location for the project.
KEA, we chose Elmina because one, Elmina is our capital town. Secondly, this is where we can get the site. Already we had the market here, but it was not, all that functioning. So we decided to talk to the women over here. In fact, we engaged them for more than 6 months, and they agreed that it's true. The market has become a white elephant, and for them, when this one is built, they believe that everybody, all those who are at the beach side, will all come here. That's the more reason why we chose this place. You know, we are also considering the economy of our municipality, and Elmina is a vibrant area. That's the reason why we chose this place. It is not a problem at all because we did massive consultations. All the stakeholders were consulted. The traditional rulers, you know, the churches, the market women, the fisher folks. All of them were consulted, and they all agreed that you should bring it here. So the 4 traditional areas, Commander, Edina Egua for Abrim, all of them have accepted that the market should be situated here.
The managing director of Hallwards Ghana Limited, Kwesi Frimpong, assured that the projects would be completed within 15 months ahead of the government's projected 24-month timeline.
Our estimation is that this project is not going to take more than 15 months for us to complete, even though the government has given us more than 24 months. We want to undertake this project and do it as quick as possible, but we will not compromise quality, so that our women who are selling, our fathers who are selling here will have the opportunity to come back and continue their work so they can find something to feed their children and those who depend on them.
Also present, the paramount chief of Elmina, Nana Kojo the Sixth, urged engineers to adhere strictly to the approved design and ensure that trading spaces are properly restored for the affected traders. From Elmina, Abigail Lissel and Kroma reports for Joy News.
Let me take you to the Upper West region. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has donated over 70,000 Ghana cedi worth of educational and administrative equipment to Sombo Senior High School to address key shortages, praising the school's resilience. Rafiq Salam reports from Sombo in the Nadoli Kalio district.
Their commitment was fulfilled during a colorful handing over ceremony where the speaker, Alban Sumana Kinsport Babin, was met with a grand traditional reception. Students draped in beautiful traditional attire welcomed him with an elaborate cultural dance, setting the stage for a day of both celebration and earnest appeals for community development. Delivering his address to the gathered crowd, the speaker revealed that his intervention was prompted by a letter dated January 29, 2026, alongside the direct pleas of the school's leadership.
I heard the cry of the chairman of the board of governors, the parent-teacher association chairman, and the headmaster. Through the grapevine, I also heard desperate voices of students complaining of unavailable teaching and learning aids and basic equipment that must support their studies. So I heard your cry far, far away in Accra, and I have come.
Likening the young educational institution to a growing child, the speaker praised the management, staff, and students for their continued resilience.
We can't solve all the school problems in a day, but we will keep resourcing it until this beautiful child called Sombo Senior High grows into an adult and a giant institution that trains some of the best brains for the world. We're not saying for only Ghana, for the world.
The sweeping donation aims to directly resolve key logistical shortfalls across multiple departments. To support the Home Economics Department, the Speaker presented a refrigerator for preserving foodstuffs, 6 large tables for practicals, 2 cooking stoves, 2 gas cylinders, a set of cooking utensils, 5 sewing machines, 2 electric irons, and a kettle. To strengthen the school's administration, he provided 2 desktop computers, 2 laptops, a color printer, a multi-purpose photocopier with toner, and then Wawa boards for constructing library shelves. Furthermore, a 14-key xylophone and a talking drum were donated to facilitate the learning of local culture.
Let me, however, caution that you guard, protect, and preserve the field equipment we have managed to provide, so that successive batches of students can also benefit from them.
While the donation serves as a major milestone, school authorities use the platform to highlight personal infrastructural deficits. Headmaster of the school, Bartholomew Monsoseyiri, traced the school's history from a small community-day school established in 2016 with just 25 students to its absorption by the government in 2019. The school currently has a student population of 78. He, however, pointed out that many structural projects remain stalled.
Among the uncompleted structures, our ultra-modern administration block is just right there behind the high table. It's so magnificent and so huge. The rooms are so many that we are unable even to tell how many rooms are there. As of now, it is almost done, but not yet until it is done. The next most fine and big uncompleted structure is a 16-unit, one-story block for the girls' dormitory. It is behind this block, if you go there. It has been roofed, with tiling and electricals.
Intervention drew widespread commendation from local government and educational authorities. District Chief Executive for Nadolo Keleu, Madam Mer Haruna, praised the Speaker's continuous service to the region.
A developmentally oriented chief who uses influence to build people from parliament to the classroom. You continue to serve Ghana and Nadolo Keleu district with distinction. To our students, this is your charge. Receive this support with discipline and purpose. Study hard, because the same soil that produced the Speaker can produce doctors, lawyers, teachers, and many more leaders.
Adding to the voices of appreciation, Chief of Sombo, Nana Moyelpui II, alongside his sub-chiefs and the Pona, commended the Speaker and encouraged him to keep doing good works, undeterred by any criticism from within the community. Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam, Sombo.
And that's it for AM News Bar. Don't forget to bring you business updates. The Hunter Pele, Samuel Kojo will bring you that right after this breather.
Let's do business now. And the Ghana cedi extended its depreciation trend over the past 2 weeks, but with notably milder swings. The cedi recorded volatility of approximately 0.5% compared to a historical weekly average of approximately 2.1%. The following report has more.
On the interbank market, the Ghana cedi weakened by 0.54% to a mid-rate of 11 cedis 9 pesos against the dollar, while the pound and the euro declined by 0.95% and 0.47% to 14 cedis 99 pesos and 12 cedis 99 pesos respectively. The retail rates mirrored this with steeper drops of 2.1% depreciation of the cedi to the dollar to trade at 11 cedis 93 pesos. The Ghana cedi also depreciated by 2.5% against the pound to sell at 15 cedis 78 pesos, whilst the euro appreciated by 3.09% against the cedi to trade at 13 cedis 78 pesos. Since the beginning of the year, the cedi has lost approximately 2.55% of its value against the American greenback, with a month-on-month depreciation of 0.79% between March 2026 and April 2026. Broadly in line with this earlier view, Data Bank research said the mounting import demand continues to weigh on the cedi as traders restock ahead of media consumer demand. In the first week of the next review window, Data Bank said it expects this buy-side pressure, together with relative improve Akosua's foreign exchange supply to keep the market under mild strain. It added that the sentiment should improve in the second week if the IMF staff mission concludes positively, potentially unlocking about $385 million subject to the IMF board approval. Meanwhile, the cedi began this week going for 11 cedis, 85 pesos to the US dollar at the forex bureaus.
Well, the executive director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, Benjamin Insia, has called on government to urgently settle outstanding debt owed to oil exploration firms and revise Ghana's Petroleum Act to make the upstream sector more attractive to investors. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Insia said payment delays to international oil companies are damaging Ghana's reputation and slowing new investment into the Jubilee, 10 and other offshore blocks.
That is one, review our Petroleum Act and make sure that our upstream becomes very competitive strategically compared to emerging oil-producing market like Guyana. We have to also look at our royalty regime. Is it quite high? And also distracting investor flow in our upstream. We look at the concessions because there's also an argument that our concessions are quite smaller compared to emerging market, whether we may also have to expand our concessions to also attract some of these things. So in 2 minutes, I think some of these things are what I may be able to tell the minister.
And that's how we wrap up the business update on the AM News. And that's it for the news as well. We'll take a break. We'll be back with AM Sports. Do stay on.
Every day, we move through our cities, fighting traffic, chasing time, and trying to make a living. But what if our cities worked better for us? Joy News, together with the amalgam of professional bodies, brings you a conversation that speaks to everyday life. Centers of prosperity at the center of the world. A closer look at how better city management can drive economic growth. Join the main speaker, David Ofosudote, as he breaks down what's not working and what must change. Wednesday, 6th May 2026 at 5 p.m. Live on Joy News and all our social media platforms. Better cities don't happen by chance. They are planned.
Time for sports on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. The segment is brought to you by Litina Travel and Tours 2026 Global Football Festival. Your Litina Travels package includes visa to watch all 3 group stage matches, 3 official match tickets, return charter flights, top-class hotel accommodation, travel insurance, and exclusive access to business networking events across all 3 host nations. Call 0244-260-789 today or visit Litina at Alisa Hotel, Northridge, and secure your spot on this once-in-a-lifetime journey. To our first story, and we are about 43 days away from the FIFA World Cup as the Black Stars hope to make history at a global showpiece. This follows the dismissal of Akufo-Addo and the appointment of 73-year-old Portuguese coach Carlos Queiroz. Ghana's best performance remains the quarterfinals in 2010 in South Africa. While expectations are being managed, Sports Minister Kofi-Addo says the former Egypt boss has been tasked to surpass that achievement.
We've given the coach a good target to do better than maybe we have done at the 2010
World Cup. Meaning, say that
was the target also that was in the contract for Coach Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
1, the team should be ranked in the top 5 in Africa by FIFA. We should qualify for AFCON, which we didn't qualify.
We didn't qualify.
Did you say we should win? No, I think we should win.
Okay.
Which we didn't.
We should win AFCON.
Yes.
Yes.
We should be ranked 5th within Africa by the FIFA rank.
Yes.
We are nowhere within the top 10 in FIFA.
In FIFA ranking now, even in Africa.
In Africa,
that's a problem.
In the world, I think we are 74.
Yes.
In Africa, we are somewhere around 15, 14, thereabout. We are to qualify for the World Cup, which we have qualified.
Yes.
We are to do better than 2010.
Meaning, say semi-finals at least.
At least semi-finals. So these are the things that we have stated. We've mixed some. We got 1, and so if somebody is coming in to come and take, we expect same from.
The Carlos Queiroz target for this World Cup is on fire new semi-finals.
Well, that's what we have.
We know why it's a failure.
Oh, well, we should even be aiming to win, because any country that qualifies is also aiming to win.
Of course.
It's also aiming to win. So once you are doing better than 2010, you are going beyond the quarter. It means you are aiming to win.
Yeah.
So who doesn't want to win? Who goes for the World Cup and says, "BDM ko akwa kekena masamba back"? No. So that's our ultimate aim.
Okay.
The Ghana Football Association will receive $2.5 million to prepare the Black Stars for the World Cup after FIFA increased the prize money for participating teams by over $100 million. The figure is a $1 million increase from what was previously offered to teams as preparatory money for the global competition. Ghana will receive a further $10 million for qualifying for the competition, an increase from $9 million from the previous tournament. FIFA will increase payments to teams taking part in the competition to almost $900 million. FIFA said additional team contributions will include subsidies for team delegation costs and increased team ticketing allocations, totaling more than $16 million. The 2026 World Cup will be the first edition of the men's tournament to feature 48 teams and will be staged across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Now, on the domestic scene, Asante Kotoko interim coach Hamza Obeng says his new role is a big opportunity as he prepares for their Week 31 clash against Dreams FC. Obeng takes over the rest of the season after Prince Sia also resigned, with Kotoko looking to improve on 1 win, 1 draw and 3 defeats in their last 5 matches.
For me, and I need to take everything out and then bring all what I can do to ball so that I'll try to manage everything in a way whereby we are going to get good results.
You have barely 4 or 5 games to end the season. What sort of a mark do you want to leave in the remaining games in your role as the interim coach?
Well, the idea is to build up a good team so that we manage each game. We go in game after game and then try to, adapt to whatever that we are doing at training and then try to implement all what's being taught at training in the game so that we try to win the matches as well.
The side, obviously, the results recently has been very terrible, looking at the pedigree of the club and what we seek to achieve every season. What do you have to say about that, and what do you think you need to do to salvage some sort of pride?
Well, it's not a good image for the club, and as I said earlier, we are trying to put everything together, make sure we build in each department so that everything will be okay for us. We try to build one team and then it will be a collective play from the team so that we will try and manage in getting our results.
You've had a couple of sessions with them. What has been the response in terms of attitude, in terms of improving on some of the drills and then?
Well, I think we are looking at the phases of play during our training section. When I talk of the phase of play, I'm talking about communication. The communication in the game means one language that we are going to understand, the tactics that we are going to deploy, and also deciding, that is looking in the game inside. They are trying to take everything that we are doing gradually, and also the execution of the decision that we are doing too, they are picking it up. That is the technique that we are working on, and then football, fitness training too, everything is moving on smoothly. So we are trying to build everything together and then try to make a collective team and then try to achieve their results.
Now, in Europe, Jose Mourinho is the leading candidate to return to Real Madrid as head coach if Alvaro Arbeloa is sacked. Club president Florentino Perez is driving the pursuit of the current Benfica boss to lift the squad after a difficult campaign. Sky Sports has more.
To Sky Germany's reporting last night, he's now the favourite to return to Real Madrid this summer. Now, it would be an extraordinary story because he would be returning to somewhere which he loved. The fans loved him as well. But you have to say, you would have assumed that Real Madrid would have moved on from the Jose Mourinho era. But having said that, he is still very, very close to the Real Madrid president, Florentino Perez. He's somebody that he's remained very close to over the years. And intriguingly, he has a break clause in his contract at Benfica, which means that if an agreement can be made with Benfica, which suits all parties, and the break clause is triggered, then he could leave Benfica. So I definitely think it's on the cards. It would be a sensational story for the special one to go back to a very, very special club.
Yeah, he was special a long time ago. Surely his days are done at a top club. When was the last time he won anything?
He won at Roma. He's doing a very good job.
What did he win at Roma?
He won the Conference League. But that was the competition they were in. They weren't expected to win the title when he was there. I think, look, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I still think he's a fantastic manager with an incredible track record, incredible charisma. I do accept your point that he may not be at the peak of his absolute powers. He's not the Jose Mourinho we saw first time around at Chelsea, at Inter Milan as well, at Real Madrid, but he's still a very, very good manager. Look at his record at Benfica at the moment. They are second in the table. Okay, they're not going to win the title, but they are invincible, unbeaten. They beat Real Madrid at home once.
You don't get any trophies for not losing but not winning anything, do you?
Again, you know, we have to agree to disagree. I know you're not the biggest Jose Mourinho fan, and I take your point that he's not at the peak of his powers. And perhaps, Real Madrid should be looking elsewhere. But Real Madrid need
someone at the peak of their powers. They're Real Madrid.
What I think Real Madrid need is somebody with authority, somebody with charisma, and somebody with an incredible track record.
Right,
and I think they get that.
Here.
They get that with Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, but
there was drama in the Champions League last night because Paris Saint-Germain came out on top in a 9-goal thriller against Bayern Munich at the Parc des Princes. It was the joint highest scoring semi-final match in European Cup history since 1960. And that's how we wrap up the sports segment on AM Show. My name is Haruna Mubarak.
The word champions in the competition's name. PSG's team is the same one that started both quarter-final games against Liverpool. For Bayern, Alphonso Davies gets his first Champions League start of the season. He replaces Konrad Laimer at left. Oh, wow! And Pele delivers. Headed in! All the way by João Neves! Olise drift. Blocked by Davies, who then puts his hands behind his back. Kvaratskhelia! Straight at Neuer. The hand comes out from Davies, then he puts it back behind his back, and it's going to be a penalty to PSG. Semi-final first legs finish PSG 5, Bayern München 4.
My name is Akosua. I come from Dabo in the Upper West region, but I work in the Savannah region under Sola Tuna Kaba district. I'm a teacher by profession and also the head teacher at Domangui DA Primary School. I am a social entrepreneur. I work with rural women in shea butter processing, and then this idea came up after I realized most of the women in my community do not make ends meet and therefore ends up cutting the tree. In order to expand the impact, I founded Podukwe Touch Life, which is an NGO where the profit we get from the social enterprise, which is the sales of the shea butter, goes in doing community activities, supporting students, helping girls with sanitary pad, and also organizing skills training for young people just so they can have something to do and not loiter in the community. I was there, I think, early January. A security supervisor from my district called and said, Portia, I've seen Joy News doing an advert, and then with their Impact Makers Award, you qualify because you are doing a lot, and I've seen people being celebrated, so I know that you qualify. I want to nominate you. And I was like, okay, no problem, because that was the first time I was hearing about the Joy News Impact Makers Award. So he nominated me, and then I think few weeks to the deadline, my husband also nominated me for that same award. Ending of February, I got a call that I've been moved to the next stage, and then here we are today. I'm so grateful because it makes me feel like the little that I do in my community as a way of supporting, it's like it's being seen and being appreciated. I'm not doing this to be appreciated, but then it makes me feel like even the little that we are doing, others are seen, and it's inspiring people. So I'm really, really grateful, and I think it got to a point where I didn't like this awarding thing because there are times people will say you have to pay money to be awarded, and I don't see the need of it. But this Joy News Impact Makers Award, following and reading about it, is something different. It gives the award to people who genuinely need it. So I'm really, really grateful, and I appreciate this award, and I know that when others also hear my story, it will inspire them to even do more in their community, knowing that the little they do count and others see and appreciate, even if they don't come to tell them.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number 1, let's bring Baby Car. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes.
If you want quality, this be where you belong.
Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it dey carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it dey make water dey flow. Syntex, and strong, and tough.
Cadbury hot chocolate, crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy, chocolatey, frothy goodness, rich taste, so satisfying.
Cadbury goodness, the treats you deserve every day.
Changing, so should you. If you're dreaming, don't be afraid. And in the valleys, keep your head up high. Dare to dream with Puma drinks. Yeah, believe it, you can achieve. Oh yeah, clap your hands for the whole new vibe. Make we set the oh yeah, come alive. Let me hear you.
Puma Drinks, a whole new vibe. Another quality product from Casa Precon.
This advert is FDA approved.
Eye bribiki tuabi na yede bo nya yedo ho ban. Ohwepa enye dede na emom eni se obenya bre ahweyie ne enioma kituabi a yebeye no yie.
Oja ashwaye she asefreme so na hwe me hu ye de biara.
Good conduct, great life is brought to you by
Indomie.
Tastes great. More Kivo inside. Kivo Gari Soaking Mix. Taste of Ghana.
Eba said, nda why exercise open ko aba ni demand bi ala all kan wasam no na nanum winhia na asumdembla.
The Eku and Insona royal family of Elmina Bantuma embarked on a cleanup exercise around the Elmina castle in support of government's efforts to promote proper sanitation. The family head, Ebusuapenyin Kwesi Aba, says the exercise is also meant to draw attention to the poor sanitary conditions in parts of Elmina and serve as a reminder to traditional authorities to take action.
We are here today to make the Traditional Council get to know that Elmina is dirty and filthy. The royal family of Adna Bantuma, we have now accepted ourselves to clean and to cleanse, because we have ordered and asked a lot of times, 2 occasions at the Traditional Council for the cleanness of Elmina. It seems they don't care. They just don't care. I want to be very frank. They just don't care. And so we have risen up this morning that we are reminding them again that if they don't wake up to cleanse Elmina, he
cautioned the Elmina Traditional Council and the municipal chief executive to be more proactive in addressing sanitation challenges, warning that the family may take further action if conditions do not improve.
With all apologies to MC, I don't know whether he has been calmed. There's fear and panic. So no one has his own self to do anything when the Traditional Council did not move. We know we have a lot of letters that we've written to them. So we are advising one more time, that if MC and DC did not wake up, Equinocena will wake up. And it may be a terrible one. We assure them it may be a terrible one. I'm a soldier, I'm an officer. If they don't rise up, we will rise up to take our kingdom.
The Queen Mother of the family, Ohineyere Mercy, also appealed to the KEA Municipal Assembly to prioritize sanitation around the Elmina Castle to enhance tourism in the area.
This is a tourist place which we always receive visitors, tourists, but the place is not neat. We need cleanliness. So we are appealing to the regional office, especially the municipal. They should help us to clean the place. They should provide for us the equipment that we need to use to clean the place. I have a lot of message, because when we look at the town, we are the royals, especially the Ekun and Sona. We are the royals. But you can see teenage pregnancy all over the place, unemployed, drug abuse, a whole lot of things. I think we need their support to stop all those things, because with their help, we can stop them.
From Elmina, Abigail Esolenkroma reports for Joy News.
My name is Bennett Asantin Konoma, popularly known as Nana Kotopre. That is how the children call me. I am the founder of Generation Hope International School and Orphanage in Susanso. In 2015-2016, I did my own investigation and I found out that most of the children, they don't go to school. And I realized that some of them are orphans, some of them, their parents are teenagers, and then some of them, their parents are mentally challenged. So in 2017, September, I started a school. Somebody gave me his uncompleted building, 8-bedroom uncompleted building. And then I decided to start a school. So I started with 11 children in 2017. And before COVID, I had 36 children. The school is free. No school fees, free exercise book, free pen, everything in the school is free. And then we give the children breakfast and lunch. After COVID, the landlord collected his house. So we became disadvantaged. But by God's grace, by that time we were having our own land. So from 2021, 2022, 2023, we decided to put up our own structure on our land. And that is what is behind me. Currently, I have 137 children in the school. Aside the 137 that are in the school, 70 of the children are in the home. That stays with me morning, afternoon, evening. And those that stays in the house or in the home, I provide them every single thing, from food to shelter to clothes, everything. I am responsible for their upkeeps. And since my work is charity, I don't work. I don't have any serious financial background. My support has been coming from family members, few friends, social media, few people that have been seeing what I do. So I believe that with Joy Impact Makers Award, more people will hear about me, and it's really going to make positive impact on Generation Hope International School. And
Well, this is still the AM show. Let's do the AM business just before we bring you what the papers are reporting, as well as the matters arising segment. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Biosafety Authority, Kwame De Asamoah-Okyere, says the authority remains committed to ensuring that any biotechnology product introduced into the country meets strict safety standards. He explains that no product, including the pod borer-resistant cowpea, will be approved unless it fully satisfies all regulatory requirements. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Okyere stressed that safeguarding public health is at the core of the authority's mandate.
The introduction of the genetically modified pod borer-resistant, or PBR cowpea, has sparked national conversations around food safety, environmental impact, and public confidence. Scientists say these concerns are expected as questions often arise about allergenicity, toxicity, and nutritional value compared to conventional crops.
Yes, farmers will be able to save their seeds and plant as they will. This is because in Ghana, farmers are not restricted from doing so. And but then the reason farmers are normally encouraged to go for fresh seeds from the various outlets, especially certified seeds, is because as you grow these seeds over generations, quality drops. And so to maintain the yield levels, farmers are encouraged to always get certified seeds too. And then the other issue too is the way seeds are presented in the form of hybrids. Luckily, the BR cowpea is not going to be presented as a hybrid variety. And so there are no issues at all regarding farmers saving their seeds and planting them. Farmers will have to spray it for about more than 6 times, 9 times, to be able to manage the pest infestation well, to keep economic yield levels. But then with the PBR cowpea, they spray just twice. So there's close to about 70-75% cut in insecticide use, which translates into cost reduction for these farmers. It also leads to higher yields, higher income levels, and so the variety has a lot of positives for farmers.
Speaking to Joy Business, The Chief Executive Officer of the National Biosafety Authority explained that the authority responsible for regulating the development, transfer and use of genetically modified organisms, adding that no product is approved without undergoing strict scientific assessment.
The National Biosafety Authority is the regulator, and the role that we play before approval of the PBR cowpea is to ensure that all the regulatory requirements are met. In this process, the Savannah Agricultural Research Institute of the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research did submit the requisite applications for permits for their confined field trials, and these were monitored accordingly to ensure that all the regulatory endpoints were met before the approval was given. Following approval, we have what we call the approval conditions, and we follow up to ensure that these approval conditions are adhered to by the applicant. So here at the National Biosafety Authority, we do have an investigations and compliance unit that is responsible for ensuring that these approval conditions are adhered to by applicants.
Food scientist Flora Amagula explains that rigorous testing is conducted to ensure the crop is safe for consumption and nutritionally comparable to traditional cowpea varieties.
The PBR cowpea is very safe for human consumption and even for animal consumption. And the background behind this is that nutritionally, from the standpoint where I am coming from, nutritionally, there's no difference between the PBR cowpea and the conventional cowpea, because the original target of modification was not a nutrition target. In any genetic modification, there's a specific target. So unless it is for a nutritional aim or target, for example, introducing vitamin A into rice or beta-carotene into rice.
Environmental safety is also under scrutiny, with assessment focusing on potential effect on beneficial insect and soil organisms.
So when we talk about non-target organisms, these are organisms that it's not our intention that when they eat the PBR cowpea, they would die. So the answer to that is no, it does not. And I'm sure people will be wondering why one insect would eat and die, human beings will eat and not die, another insect will eat and die. To make it simply, you know, most of us take dewormers, right? So why is it that when you take dewormer, you don't die, but then the worm dies? So it's in a similar fashion that, you know, the protein that the PBR cowpea produces affects only a particular class of insects, and that does not include the insects that you talked about. So it does not affect, you know, those insects within the ecosystem. I think that your interview that you're having with me today is a step in the right direction. It's also important for us to note that the National Biosafety Authority is a government institution. So government in its wisdom has the Science, Technology and Innovation Policy, and that policy says that government is using science and technology to drive our economy. Government being fully aware of the unknowns that surround new technologies, not only the use of biotechnology, set up the regulator. So National Biosafety Authority is the regulator. And here at the National Biosafety Authority, we say your safety our priority. And that's exactly what we are set up to do.
Professor Samuel Amite emphasized that strong regulatory systems are essential to ensure biotechnology support for food security without compromising safety.
Interestingly, the technology matter come out of a collaboration between our scientists and other international institutions, but then the ownership of the PBR cowpea, the rights belongs to the SARI, CSR SARI. And they, like I mentioned earlier on, are in charge of making sure that there's available certified seeds from this new variety, its distribution, and then even whatever extension service protocols that come with producing this crop.
The National Biosafety Authority also stressed the importance of national ownership and transparency in the adoption of such innovation. The authority maintains it operates under strict local and international biosafety protocols with continuous monitoring to ensure compliance even after approval.
Yes, so it's important that we understand that there's a process that has been established to do this. So before PBR cowpea is introduced, the NBA needs to provide the necessary permits, which SARI did apply for and did receive, and went through all the regulatory processes. We have a technical advisory committee that reviews these applications and then advises the board on the necessary course of action.
The National Biosafety Authority says building public trust through transparency and sustained education will be critical as Ghana advances in agricultural biotechnology.
Every day we move through our cities, fighting traffic, chasing time, and trying to make a living. But what if our cities worked better for us? Joy News, together with the amalgam of professional bodies, brings you a conversation that speaks to everyday life. Centers of prosperity at the center of the world. A closer look at how better city management can drive economic growth. Join the main speaker, David Ofosudote, as he breaks down what's not working and what must change. Wednesday, 6th May 2026 at 5 p.m. Live on Joy News and all our social media platforms. Better cities don't happen by chance. They are planned.
We were just shocked because it had not happened before for anybody with the courage to come in with excavators with the aim of coming to mine. It was unheard of.
Yeah, press conference against a mining. It's in the Socase and you know na a yentro ema ne microphone be crampo to
There was invasion. The whole world knew it. The reports were there. The investigation revealed it. The CID had all the report. Guess what happened? It was shelved. It was shelved because there was no political will.
We shouldn't rely on the kind of money that we will get a day, and tomorrow we cannot guarantee that same money.
Beach sand mining is emerging as a form of galamsey along Accra's coast. One hotspot is the Compu Ghana, where miners dig and haul sand daily, some even molding blocks right on the shoreline for sale. Coastal scientists warn that if these activities continue unchecked, a major disaster is inevitable. Emmanuel Jivenu has more in John News series When the Sea Comes Home.
Saki Otokuno has worked this beach since he was a child. This morning, like many others, he is back at the shoreline, filling sacks with sand from the same sea he says has always provided for him.
Yes, no warriors for you. Yeah, be our galamsey. Yes, our rare Accra galamsey for you because our pickets they don't get something for job. If you finish school, you don't get nothing. If you go work, they don't collect you. If you go say you know nothing. Collect sand in my time now. I'll be 46 years guy. I was born 1976, 12 February. I'm from Jamestown, British Accra. I know many things in Accra. The time I start beach camp, that I was 6 years. People they collect sand, I grow. See the sand, the sand be Gary. Government leave us for us.
Across Compu Ghana, men move in and out with sacks, working quickly before the tides shift. For many here, this is a daily source of income.
The sand way there, it be our food. It be Accra people, them are food. Ghana people, it be our food. If you go away, we don't get nothing. They can't take the sand, go sell some. Let dig the sand. Then the sand inside girl. That is sometimes if they don't make up, but they dig the sand inside. So which will they dig and get more this thing, money to feed ourselves. So leave the sand matter for us.
But the work no longer ends with digging. The sand is now processed right here, mixed with cement and molded into blocks, ready for construction. By turning sand into blocks at the beach, the trade continues in plain sight, even as enforcement tries to clamp down. The form may have changed, but the coastline is still being stripped.
What some of them are doing now is take the sand, mold a block there. So if they are taking blocks away, it is not sand they are taking away, but blocks. But in any case, once you pick the sand, you are mining sand, or you are collecting or mining for sand. So the impact is still the same, because you are depriving that system of the amount of sand that it needs. And again, as you continue mining for sand, you are also creating a pathway for the waves to now move more inland.
Ni Ayi does not wait. Once the blocks are ready, they must move. From here, the sand travels into homes and buildings, many of them rising along the same coast, now struggling to hold its grounds. Jonah is a fisherman, but fishing alone is no longer enough. When the sea does not give, he turns to the beach sand. For him, the sea has always had limits, and he does not believe collecting beach sand is the problem. Along the Compu Ghana beach, the coastline is shifting. Buildings now sit on weakened grounds, their foundations exposed as the sea inches closer. The sand that once absorbed the force of the waves is thinning out, leaving the shore more vulnerable with each passing day. Coastal scientist Professor Akufo-Addo says once the balance is broken, the impact shows quickly.
People may say, oh, well, that we have abundance of sand and this, but the sand is also acting as a buffer. Okay? It protects the development behind the beach. So if you remove the sand through taking them away or through molding blocks or doing otherwise within the coastal areas, what we are basically doing is that you are depriving those development from the buffer that will prevent the impact of storm, the impact of high tides, the impact of erosion. You are depriving them of that natural barrier or the natural defense system. And once you deprive them of that natural defense system, it may not be now, but probably in the very near future.
Ghana's coastline is retreating steadily, with some areas losing meters each day. In extreme cases, erosion has reached up to 17 meters in a single year. But here at Kojo Ghana, that reality feels distant for many.
No one panya fa be was some on ye no tell you on your fair ni no fear for a gun nyani la kan libi amomashi ni won waka yin ni won wo bi ke wona bi fen aka yin ni mamashi gaje la kan le wo ba doji apakan shi e jake nyenye yu awo kumo gagbone aye ni gbo yin ni yemi ni gamen pin gamen wo ko le na gamen wo choko gamen wo e ko me basabasa wo gamen minimi wo yo Chame nyebele anyengme la ka wati gan wati apaka nsie ye fenye ba gbegbe wo kwenye wampo.
The sun is taking every day, and with each load, the coast is losing its defense. The ground is weakening, and the sea is advancing. If nothing changes, a major disaster is bound to happen. Emmanuel Joy News, Kojo Ghana, Accra.
My name is Bennett Asantin Konoma, popularly known as Nana Kotopre. That is how the children call me. I am the founder of Generation Hope International School and Orphanage in Susanso. In 2015-2016, I did my own investigation and I found out that most of the children, they don't go to school. And I realized that some of them are orphans, some of them, their parents are teenagers, and then some of them, their parents are mentally challenged. So in 2017, September, I started a school. Somebody gave me his uncompleted building, 8-bedroom uncompleted building. And then I decided to start a school. So I started with 11 children in 2017. And before COVID, I had 36 children. The school is free. No school fees, free exercise book, free pen, everything in the school is free. And then we give the children breakfast and lunch. After COVID, the landlord collected his house. So we became disadvantaged. But by God's grace, by that time we were having our own land. So from 2021, 2022, 2023, we decided to put up our own structure on our land. And that is what is behind me. Currently, I have 137 children in the school. Aside the 137 that are in the school, 70 of the children are in the home. That stays with me morning, afternoon, evening. And those that stays in the house too, or in the home, I provide them every single thing, from food to shelter to clothes, everything. I am responsible for their upkeeps. And since my work is charity, I don't work. I don't have any serious financial background. My support has been coming from family members, few friends, social media, few people that have been seeing what I do. So I believe that with Joy Impact Makers Award, more people will hear about me, and it's really going to make positive impact on Generation Hope International School.
From farm to plate, do you really know what you're eating? Any glitch in the circuit of the food chain can change the price and size of what you eat. Technology has changed the face of farming, but how is Ghana plugging in? Join Jesse Aram Agbakpo, Emmanuel Bright Kweku on the food chain as they project startups in the Agric sector, highlight the gains and plight of industry players while engaging with experts for more insights in Agric-related issues. Food chain, everything agriculture and more, as during the Joy Business Report every Thursday at 1 p.m. on Joy FM and every Saturday at 6 p.m. on the Joy News channel, with a repeat on Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m.
All right, welcome back to the AM show. Let's get into the Matters Arising segment of the show by starting with what the papers are reporting this morning, starting with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Now, big story here. Ghana rejects U.S. health aid deal, cites sensitive data sharing concerns. Now, according to the paper, U.S. required Ghana to share some sensitive health data on its citizenry with the United States, and Ghana says, well, we cannot share these data with a foreign nation, and so we wouldn't agree to this deal. So get details of that. Which kind of data was the U.S. requiring Ghana to share? Also, 57.2 million unearned salaries recovered. And according to the story, these monies were paid into a special account. And so far, between 2023 and April this year, the Auditor General has recovered some 57.2 million cedis from unearned salaries. Also, Gold Board records 5.45 billion surplus for 2025. That's good news, right? 5.45 billion Ghana cedis surplus for 2025. Get details on page 16 of the paper. Now, CASEC student protest against unapproved WASI fee. Oh, okay. Get details on the back page there. And Child Safety Organization to prioritize prevention over treatment launched. Okay. So that's also the story there. Let's do other papers here. Okay. Yeah, probably would have to help me there. Okay. Daily Guide. Oforiatta U.S. immigration case set for June 15. A focus office clarifies MPP Council of Elders meeting, and Paul Afoko has been in the news for some time now. People say he is making a comeback for the chairmanship of the new Patriotic Party. The party says it is gearing up for 2028. They feel that 2028 will be their year, and they want all us nows intact. So Paul Afoko is sort of declaring his intention to contest for the chairmanship. But there was a meeting with the Council of State, but they are clarifying that particular one there. And doomsaw is back, according to who? The minority. And they say, don't blame Akosua fire. Minority is saying. So you know that the recent power outages has been blamed largely on the fire that engulfed the substation of Akosua, and the minority saying that no, you cannot do that. We know that there is debt hanging in the sector. There's some $700 million that has not been paid, and by joining checks, we say that there is some 707 legacy debts in the energy sector that has not been paid. And you know, many people have been telling the government that the power outages started way before the fire. So what could be the possibility? Ministry says, well, there are also some overloaded transformers. So a lot of issues, but a minority saying that don't blame Akosua for the doomsaw that is back. NPR's digital system reshapes pension sector, and ritual murder hits Seshuri also. Hey, Seshuri also. Do you remember the famous, you know, when we were kids, they were telling us about this man that killed a young man and Rawlings had to hang him there to serve as deterrent. Well, get to page 3 of the Daily Guide and read the story as well. 2 robbers killed in police gun battle. Okay, so that's it from the Daily Guide. Let's do other papers here. Moving on from the Daily Guide newspaper. Okay, let me see if my thing will work here. The Ghanaian publisher, doomsaw crisis, Akosua fire not responsible. Minority from the oppressor that they held yesterday. We'll delve deeper into this. Kofi Addo will be here on the show this morning and get us what the Joy Research team has also gotten on this energy issue. What really is a factor causing your light to be going off? Yesterday, my colleagues do tell me that even though they were not on the list, well, their light had to go off. Mine didn't, but theirs went off. So there's something happening that we need to be told about. Now, NPRA unveils ambitious pension digital shift, and a boy in a trial, multiple admissions by witness contradict state's claims. And I've been hearing this a lot from people who go to court. It looks like the case against Dubois and it really is getting tougher. The states, well, we understand witnesses are contradicting state's claim there. So get details on that. It's on page 5 of the paper. Now, Wager MP gift BEC candidates made in Wager Sandals. Okay. So that's an interesting piece there. You can go and grab it. That's the minority whip, yeah? Second deputy minority whip as constituency. Chris Body Mensa, driving excellence at NPRA, at the National Pension Regulatory Authority. Are they the ones that were in the news last 2 weeks or so for buying the 6 Prados? Anyway, interesting. Edubwa in a case, no record of stolen 49.1 million cedis. Multiple admissions by witness contradict state's claim. Okay, let's see how this will go. We'll leave it to the court. Minority demands energy minister's exit as power sector turbulence exposes deeper structural fault lines. And they say that, well, if the energy minister is asking the CEO of IOCO to go, and as well as shifting the management of ECG in Ashanti region, then you also would have to go, because it cannot be that the people you supervise will be the ones to take the brunt, and you, the supervisor, will not be, will not take part of the backlash that is coming. So they're asking John Jinapo to step aside. Will the president listen? We'll see. Now, 2 killed, 5 injured in Third Ridge Junction on Accra Cape Coast Highway. Okay. Third Ridge Junction. Oh, okay, that's in Cape Coast. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So those are the stories there. The back page, it says why Mourinho could be Real's ultimate wild card. And I'm told that Mourinho has indicated to the authorities at Real Madrid that he is willing to come home. And we also understand that he's a favorite of Florentino Perez, and so it looks likely that Mourinho will go. But the story, this paper is delving deeper into why Mourinho is probably Real Madrid's ultimate wild card. Well, I'm a Manchester United fan, so what happens to Madrid without Ronaldo, it doesn't concern me actually. All right, but those of you who are Madrid fans, go in there and read details. Let's do the News Guide Africa. BOG's losses, a necessary evil that carried the burden of Ghanaians. So that's what the governor has been explaining with regards to the losses that the BOG had there. Okay. Now, DDP shadows loom over diaspora bond push amid record $7.8 billion remittance surge. And Parliament debates new MPA bill to overhaul pricing and drive sector. And this one says, I am who I am because of your love. Julius Debra expresses deep gratitude to Ghanaians at 60th birthday Thanksgiving. Okay. All right. Final lap, IMF team due in Accra Wednesday for Ghana's decisive program review. We're just about ending. So we're going to discuss how to withdraw from the IMF. Are we going to withdraw or not? Well, the review will tell us. And experts blame political paralysis as Galamsey death toll rises. Okay. Galamsey. The question a lot of people are asking is Galamsey over or not? Well, obviously Galamsey is not over. And you get that there. Let's get into myjoyonline.com and bring you more. Okay, so on myjoyonline.com, power boost at Akosua as fourth unit comes back online in late night breakthrough. So this was late night yesterday when there was an announcement that because in the afternoon, before we went on top story, we learned that the third unit has come on stream. And late in the night before I went to bed, I saw update on this that the fourth unit has also come online. We have 6, and each of them is giving us 140 megawatts. So if we have 4, do the maths. It tells us that there has to be some relief in the power issues. Security concerns force NDC chair Ashedin Ketia to suspend Northeast Thank You tour. Okay. Banking sector rebounds as assets hit 465 billion Ghana cedis, BOG report says. And mystery deepens as 2 arrested in disappearance of Accra couple there. Okay, so that is also something that you can find there. And we are citizens, not spectators. Christian Council defends speaking truth to power. Those are some of the stories that you can find on myjoyonline.com. Again, we won't be silent. Christian Council defends right to speak on national issues. And this one created a lot of trends on social media. The Kenyan president was talking to his people and said, well, we speak better English, at least if you listen to the one by the Nigerians, and that took a lot of backlash from the Nigerians. We understand that he is now backtracking after comments mocking Nigerians' English. So that's one is there. And RNAQ has been in the news for some time now. Says they couldn't get me, so they used my wife. RNAQ alleges external plot to destroy marriage. Okay, so that interview is a long one. You can go listen and get all of these details. But United Arab Emirates to quit oil cartel, OPEC. Oh, that would be a hit there. Okay, fuel price dip from May 1 as diesel drops sharply. LPG set to surge. Okay, all right. So let me now introduce my guest and also get Kofi Addo, who's head of our research and data desk here at Joy News. But in studio, let me welcome my guest. Okay, so Ekuya Mwakon is a deputy communications director for the Baumia team. Ekuya, good morning.
Good morning.
It's been a long time.
Yes, it has.
Why, you took a break?
I was a little unwell, so I had the first-hand opportunity to experience our healthcare from the other side of the aisle, and I think a lot was learned. I remember I was telling a friend that I may owe a few people an apology on the post-op instructions that we give people, but I'm glad to be back and grateful. I hear yesterday was your birthday, so happy birthday. Happy belated birthday as well.
Thank you. I'm grateful. I had a good time, so I'll give thanks to God. And then I also have here, it's been a long time I saw her as well, Amanda Clinton, head of Chambers at Clinton Consultancy. Amanda, good morning.
Good morning.
Why did you decide to abandon us?
Oh, I was waiting for an invite to come back.
Oh, this I'll blame Kinsley then. He decided to take you off the screen. Okay. Good to have you back. And then Bernard Bediako is MP for Akosua. Bernard, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay. Bernard, when he comes here, the way he's doing good morning, he's firing out to come and give us some pressure this morning. But yeah, he'll be fine. And then Kwame Nkrumah Botio, it's been a long time I saw him as well. Today, Kingsley decided to bring all the, apart from Bernard, bring all the, so there are attorneys on the show. Botio is a lawyer and political commentator, but he's a general secretary.
No, I'm no more the general secretary.
Oh, really?
Yes,
oh, wow. Okay.
And happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Last week was my birthday as well.
So we are all April months.
Yes.
Wonderful. April is a great month. Okay. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. Let me now bring in Isaac Kofi-Addo to set the ball rolling for our discussion on the energy sector. Kofi-Addo is our head of the research and data desk here at Joy News. Kofi, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kojo.
Trust all is well?
Some darkness yesterday, 2 days. In fact, I'm not having it at all.
Oh,
yeah,
they gave our, that, so slept in the darkness. Oh, no, that's not fair.
You know, this is actually not the best time to be a new dad, anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're in darkness and your child is crying.
Yeah.
Charlie, you go through it. So it's not a good time at all. And
so you went through it. I can see your eyes are all red.
Of course.
Wow. Sorry. On behalf of Bernard Bediako's government, I say sorry.
I'm not the only one feeling, the pinch.
No. Go ahead.
I also feeling what is going on in the power space. And yesterday we did a lot of analysis on TV and also on radio, especially on Top Story, where the minority is currently calling for the head of the energy minister.
Yeah.
And because they believe that if there's anywhere the buck should stop, it should be the minister himself. And so possibly in their own language, scapegoating the Gridco boss and some, officials in the Ashanti region possibly will not solve the situation. But we have been doing our own checks in terms of what is actually happening in the energy sector. We've done a lot of analysis since this story broke. And yesterday I decided to tweak the data a bit, trying to look at a different angle in terms of looking at the peak demand and peak supply. And this time around, we are doing 10 days before the Akosua fire. What was the situation 10 days before the Akosua fire? Because we are made to believe that, the substation fire outbreak and the transformer replacement or installation has been the main reason why we're experiencing this current doomsaw that we are all going through. But we wanted to understand what was the situation 10 days before the fire incident. So we have been using official data that we've gotten from stakeholders in the industry, and that is what we've been analyzing, data from Gridco ECG in terms of the load sheet. That is what is giving us this analysis, plus what we know so far from the minister's own briefing and the energy sector outlook put out by the Energy Commission. So you have on the smart wall, this side is the peak generation. So we're talking about the peak generation, which is how much power we generate in the evening, 10 days before the fire incident. Our peak generation, the highest we had gone was 3,842. Peak generation, according to the data that we've analyzed, was 3,442 42 megawatts. And you are comparing that to our peak demand, according to the ministries, between 4,300 and 4,400. So if you use 4,400 in terms of the maximum peak demand, 10 days before the fire, it clearly tells you there was a challenge because there was a deficit between peak demand and peak supply. That's about 558 megawatts. And if you know the energy sector, you will know that this figure that we are reporting as deficit is very, very huge. It's actually close to the daily consumption of the Ashanti region. So that tells you that even 10 days before the fire incident, we had to share the load at peak time of 558 megawatts. So if possibly a Akosua incident worsened the situation, this data is telling you that we had load shedding even 10 days before the fire. This is the peak analysis. Let's look at 10 days before the fire. What was the average demand versus generation? So we're no longer talking about the peak, which is the evening generation and demand. Now we are talking about the average for morning, afternoon, and evening, so that you get a better perspective of what the data is telling us. When you look at this in terms of the average, it looks a bit better, right? So you are talking about an average power generation 10 days before the incidence of 3,436 megawatts. That's against our peak, average demand of 3,950 in terms of what we consume in a day. And you are comparing that, you do the math, that gives you a deficit close to about 514. So even using average daily generation versus average daily demand, you still have a deficit of about 500 megawatt to possibly shed. And you do the math for the entire year, you look at the power generation, the average power generation since the beginning of the year, what you see is that we were averaging somewhere around 3,400. If you compare that to our peak demand of 4,400, that gives you more than 1,000 deficit load to be shared. If you compare it to the average demand, that will give you a relatively lower figure of somewhere around 700 to 800 megawatts in terms of the power. But 5 days before the Akosombo incident, you also have an analysis of what was going on in terms of peak demand and peak supply. All of this telling you that even 5 days before the fire incident, this was our gap in terms of peak demand versus peak generation. Peak generation 5 days before the fire was relatively lower than 10 days. So that's telling you that if you do a 5-day moving average, what you see is that peak generation was 3,332 megawatts as against 4,400 peak demand. That gives you, Kojo, a deficit of 1,068. This was our situation 5 days before the fire incident. We had about 1,068 megawatt load to shed at peak hours. And in fact, if you know the system, what you realize is that this is more than Akosombo's installed capacity of 1,020. So definitely tell you that 5 days before the fire incident, if you are comparing peak demand, average demand versus average, generation versus peak demand, what you see is that there's that gap of 1,068. That tells you that
this is 5 days.
5 days before the incident, right?
5 days before. So if 5 days before, then Akosombo doesn't have a role to play here. Even
exactly. That's the point we are making. That Akosombo was generating 5 days before the incident. Akosombo was generating,
and we still had a deficit of 1,000.
We still have a deficit of 1,000 if you are comparing the average, or the peak demand, average generation versus the peak demand. That tells you that we had a deficit of about 1,068. So in all the analysis we have actually done, it paints a picture that we had issues, right, with possibly power supply or generation. There were deficits, minimum of about 500 megawatt that we needed to shed, both at peak hours and off peak hours. We still had to shed some load to make sure that almost everybody gets access to power. There's also a lot of conversation about Akosombo. When all 6 units come on stream or online, we shouldn't have a problem. But if you have studied Akosombo's production or generation since the beginning of the year, what you realize is that the average generation of Akosombo has been below its dependable capacity. Its dependable capacity is around 900 megawatts, as put out by the Energy Commission. The average we have looked at, Kojo, shows Akosombo was producing on average about 700 megawatts before the incident, since the beginning of the year. And if you look at a month or some 24 days before the incident, Akosombo's average production was below 700. It was around 670 megawatt. That tells you that Akosombo wasn't producing at maximum. And when we analyze the data, one thing we also realize is that there is this case that we have called the MAM case, right? So the MAM case simply means MAM, right? March, April, May. Within this period, we have serious issues with power generation and demand. And anybody who knows the sector really well will know that March, April, May, possibly May, are the periods where we have very high demand because the heat is unbearable, everybody's AC is on. There's even problem with generation because heat and power generation doesn't really go together, because some of the thermal plants will have to shut down and cool down, a bit maintenance issue. So within March, April, and May, we've always had issues. So a 10-year data analysis shows that in 2024, when, remember, NAPO was saying we are doing doomsaw, right, and that we are replacing old transformers. It was around this same period. It was around the month period, March, April, May, and he was explaining that we needed to replace some transformers, and that's why our lights were on. And I remember the minority then made a point that we had issues with generation. In fact, we had issues with generation, but the replacement around that time worsened the situation, and it's the same thing we are seeing panning out here. And so what we have analyzed shows that March, April, May are the periods where we have our lowest reserve margin. Our average reserve margin is around 18%, but within this period, our average reserve margin has been between 12 to about 13%. It means at any point in time, if we have issues with any of our generation plant, it sends us into deficit. And you have to ask yourself if we have enough power to generate. Akosombo, many people do not know. They still think that Akosombo is of the possibly 1990s, where it used to generate more than about 40% of what we demand. But currently, Akosombo accounts for only 18% of the power that we consume. 70% comes from thermal, which is IPPs and government's own thermal plant. 70% of the power we consume comes from our thermal. And so Akosombo is 18% of our generation. So if our reserve margin that we have been made to believe on paper, which is also 18%, if Akosombo should go off, should we have an issue?
Yeah.
Right, your reserve margin is 18%. Akosombo accounts for 18% of your power generation. 18 minus 18, the net is 0. So it tells you that Akosombo going off and we have such a big issue. We have serious issues with generation. Nobody must tell you. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you that there are issues with generation where most of the power plants are not producing up to capacity, because you look at Southern Asogli, for instance, not producing up to capacity based on the data that we have analyzed. There's also an issue about debt, and I'll wrap up with that. That currently there's still about 700 million, debts owed to independent power producers and fuel suppliers. That was what was made available yesterday by the minority. We have our own checks, and as far back as March, or I think January 12, 2026, we put out a research work on My Jaw Online after there was communication that 1.14 billion, 1.47 billion US dollars that was paid by the government in 2025 had cleared the energy sector debt. We made it clear that that was not the situation. That was just paying a part of the debt. There were still legacy there. So we had issues with the use of the word clearing energy sector legacy debt, because our checks, based on the minister's own pronouncements in the 2025 and 2026 budget, and also the IMF program document, showed that we still owed independent power producers and fuel suppliers some 707 million US dollars. And that is in line with the data that the minority put out yesterday. And I want us to understand it. This is how we got the data. The current government inherited a total energy sector debt, which they believe was close about 3 billion. But in terms of IPPs and fuel supply debt, that was about 1.4 billion US dollars. That was the amount they inherited as government. They were able to successfully restructure that debt with the independent power producers, where they accepted a haircut of $250 million. That led to about 1.1 billion US dollars still to be paid. And government, through that restructuring, gave a timeline for the payments. And I remember the finance minister making it clear that the remaining IPP's debt, including fuel suppliers, is going to be cleared in a span of 4 years. And 2028 was set as the final year for the IPP's legacy debt to be cleared. 2025, that 1.47 billion that was paid as energy sector debt, only 393 million went to IPPs and fuel suppliers. We need to make it clear that the entire 1.47 billion that was paid didn't go to IPPs. IPPs only got 393. And there are plans that this year IPPs will be paid $345 million as part of the arrangement. So first tranche after the restructuring has been paid, they're still waiting for the second tranche, which is about $345 million to be paid, which means that we are still left with about $707 million to still to be paid as energy sector that owed IPPs. But I must make it clear, the government has been very current in the payment of debt to the IPPs. You go through the cash waterfall data and you see that they are making, plans to actually meet the cash waterfall mechanism, obligations. And everybody who knows that data will tell you that it's been better now as far as after the restructuring. But there's still issues because we know that our energy sector is linked with, the health of our city. When the city is in good health, our energy sector is stable. That's why when we enjoyed that 40% appreciation in 2025, you didn't see much of doomsaw. But once your city begins to depreciate, expect your energy sector to be in trouble because we generate power in dollars, but we sell in cities. So when you're converting to pay your debt, there's always an issue with finances, or when you talk about what we call the forex losses in the energy space, Kojo.
All right, Kofi, thank you very much for making it clear for us. Well, let me come in. Amanda is smiling. Okay. Amanda, you want to set the ball on before I bring in Beverly?
Yes, I was just thinking that was very, the audience is going to find that very educational, but, to reduce what the research says, for the layman to appreciate, I think what the research says is that the Akosua fire made it worse, but it did not create the crisis, in essence. Because the research shows that a 37% generation deficit since March. This is long before the fire, basically. And Ghanaians want timelines, not just press releases. So Joy's research is clear. This doomsaw is driven more by power generation deficits than technical faults, etc. But ultimately, I think that Ghanaians are not going to take another 3 years of this. So it's a very good thing that the NDC have said that it's going to be resolved by Thursday, Friday. And I do think it's a good call to say that the buck must stop at the top. You know what I mean? And within 24 hours of that notice that the buck must stop at the top, it seems the top has said that he has done an additional unit has been added to Akosua.
One unit came.
One unit has come, etc. So, holding those accountable, to the standard that it stops at the top, in terms of the buck stops at the top, is very good. I mean, even this morning, there was light rain where I was, which literally caused half the house to be on, half to be off, just because of rain. And if we are literally saying with all this research that the minority says the government still owes IPPs over 700 million. IPPs is over 700 million and fuel supplies is over 200 million. If that's true, it directly explains why plants are running below capacity, essentially. And I mean, I know this for sure because I spend a lot of time traveling, to different parts of Africa, including Sierra Leone, which I love. But I'm so happy when I come back to Ghana because the lights work. And, at the hotel, it goes off like 5-7 times a day, when I'm in Sierra Leone. And even though the generator kicks in, it's really annoying. So I come back to Ghana and I'm like, okay, this is stability. This is normal. And a few months ago, I think we all started noticing that is this doomsaw 2.0 with further excuses coming, or is this something the government is going to tackle, basically?
All right. Bernard, let me bring you in, because now if you look at it, there's obviously some monetary issues in the power sector, but your government has also made it clear that, well, the Akosua turbines will be up, you are replacing some transformers, and so everything will be fine. But if you look at what we've done, is it really all down to the transformers and the Akosua issue? Obviously not. Also,
thank you very much for the opportunity, and then good morning to yourself, your team, and then my very able women and gentlemen.
So today we have 3 lawyers on the table and 1 medical doctor. Interesting.
Wow. It's not really fair.
Wow.
But
First and foremost, there is no dispute whatsoever as to the challenges we are facing as a people currently. Nobody has disputed it. The sector minister spoke and admitted that we had a challenge. It's quite rare in this country where people own up and accept where there are challenges and there are problems. We had this from the minister, and I think we must commend him for it. The challenge has been the narrative being put, I won't call it spin, on why we are where we are.
Okay.
And I think that's where the disagreement really is. There is no denying fact that there is a problem. And we have said that the problem is as a result of the Akosua fire incident, which I think this is the first time we've had such an experience, such huge, to virtually ground Akosua to zero. I think we've never had this. It's over 1,000 megawatts, being taken away from what we are supposed to have is no mean an issue.
But that should be a reserve.
No, you see, I'll come to that. And I'm coming to what you have done. And when I say you, Joy News. The challenge I have, I would want to suggest that maybe from here, because this particular, the very, data he put out this morning, first and foremost, he didn't tell us the source of his data.
Oh, he mentioned it.
No, yes, he said he got it from where?
He used several sources.
Is that where?
The Energy Commission is part. The Energy Ministry has put out some data. He used the IMF report as well.
So he mentioned several sources. This morning.
Yes, just now.
Well, so I heard him mention that yesterday when he brought that. But what we have today is not the same as what he did yesterday. I would analyze what he did yesterday, at least in the meantime.
But today,
I'll come to it. It's not. He didn't do that in a vacuum. He started this from yesterday. So let me start from yesterday and what he put out. You see, first and foremost, like I said, nobody disputes that there is a problem, but we must also be a bit circumspect in the way we conclude on a few things. He mentioned that, as at yesterday, per the data, he said, for instance, on the first day of March 2026, what was available? And he used the word average. Morning, afternoon, evening.
He used the average, yeah.
You see, before I even come to that, it was captioned that there's a forensic, or I don't know what is forensic about this. Seriously.
But where was it captioned?
No, I'm coming.
Do the issues.
You see, forgive me. No, it's not just semantics. Because you see, when it is out there, it's as if there is a hidden something that you've gone behind.
But we are going to your own data you've provided.
No, but you can deal with, you can speak to the data, but to refer it in such a manner, forensic, well, my understanding of forensic is not what we have. Because you see, first and foremost, you say you have the available on that day to be 3055, the average. And then you come to dependable, which we all know. The dependable is the total we have installed capacity, which is made up of hydro, thermal, whatever. We have all that. So that one is not an issue.
No, the installed capacity is different from dependable.
No, the dependable is, but it's still the same. What we have, we are supposed to have, to share. To share.
Yeah.
Is that not so? Good. Now, beyond that, now you come to the peak demand. You did an average with regards the available. You did an average. But when you wanted to compare, you used only the peak demand. Do you get the point I'm making?
Come again.
Okay. So with the earlier one, you said the available. You did an average. That meant that the morning, afternoon, you know that the demands are not the same.
Yes.
During that occasion, yes. Morning is different from afternoon, and that evening. Okay. But when he was comparing, he used the peak demand, which is often higher, or the highest, to refer or to compare to the available and had the difference of the 1,245. I think.
But what we did now is
what you did now?
Peak demand.
You are talking
peak with peak generation.
I'm saying that he started from yesterday. If you heard me, I'm dealing with what he did yesterday. I would settle here. What he did yesterday, a part of what he did yesterday, is to use the first day of March 2026.
Okay.
Do you get it? And for him, that on that day, he says the available.
That's what him saying is a data.
Don't worry. But he presented it. Don't worry. I'm not being personal here. The data, as he claims, says that the available was 3055. That is what he claimed on that day. And he's saying that the dependable is 4855, which for me is not very, because we all know that. But he's saying the peak demand on that day is 4,300. And I'm saying that the available, which is 3055, he said he did an average of morning, afternoon, and evening. I'm saying that you know that they are not all the same, because the demand, I mean, during any period of the day is not the same.
Yes.
Morning is different, but he did an average. But when he was comparing the average, he compared it with the peak demand on that day. I don't know whether you still don't get it. Why the peak demand to get that deficit? If you wanted to use the peak demand, then you should have gone behind, and that's where I have a problem with the name forensic, because then you should have gone behind to let us know what the demand actually was in the morning and compare to what was available in the morning. Do the afternoon. If you don't have that data, then I don't.
But question is, was there a deficit or not?
No, but you see, this has been responded to by the ministry. You know, the work has been responded to by the ministry that it is not accurate.
That there wasn't a deficit?
No, he said it's not accurate. I mean, and you've heard the ministry.
Okay. Let us say I am assuming without admitting that what they are saying is true. I want to ask that, does it mean there was no deficit in the day?
The day or the morning? You see, it's important we deal with the specifics.
So they should break it down. Was there a deficit at any point?
No, but they've said that the data you have brought up, you see, we have a problem, and I stated it, that we have not disputed that we have a problem. And the problem as we know it at this moment is as a result of the challenge we've had with Akosua. But you are now coming, you are now out.
It's not accurate.
So you see, and we are analyzing the data, and you said beyond the analysis, I should be able to tell you beyond what I'm doing, whether there was or there wasn't. I'm saying that the data you've presented for me, I have a challenge with it, because you can't see that you took an average of a situation.
Okay.
But when you were comparing to have your deficit, you compared it with a specific, because we have the peak periods and the non-peak periods. But you compared with the peak period, which is often higher.
You see, if we are staying with what happened here this morning, it was peak, average. If you saw it. No, I'm coming. I'm explaining something.
I haven't spoken about what has been done.
No, I'm coming. Okay. I'm building a point.
Okay.
So if you saw, maybe what you saw yesterday was that on the graph, there was a peak and there was average. That's what you're referring to?
It's not what I saw. That is what you put out. You may refer to that.
Good. So I'm saying that the main thrust for the Ghanaian watching us now was my light on?
Yes.
Or it was off?
Yes.
If it was off, then of course there was a deficit somewhere.
No, you see, and that is where you see, much as I agree with you, and I've said that there is a problem, and I am not even comfortable with the argument today.
Okay.
But I mean, this is what we have, and so we have to deal with it.
Okay, yeah.
We've considered that there's been a problem. Okay. But you see, and I was quick to say that the challenge we have is why the problem is what it is. Now, what we are speaking about is the Akosua incident.
Yes.
Okay. And the data that has been put out there suggests that the problem there was even a problem long before we all know that. Me much information because what I have questions and I think I'm entitled to.
Exactly, sure.
So if you told me, for instance, that there was a peak demand of 4,300, surely that would be in the evening. So what happened in the morning? What was the demand in the morning? In fact, this is the point I'm making. Okay. Because you are, and that's a legitimate question.
Sure.
Because you did an average for the day. Mm-hmm. And I would be very glad because they are not the same. What would have been expected in the morning would not be the same as what would have been expected in the evening.
In the evening where
usually the peak.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Were we able to meet?
No, you see, the challenges we had before the Akosua was explained by the ministry. That it had to do with the distribution challenges. This is what they've said. If anybody disputes it, he brings about contrary, evidence or for some.
And that's what.
And that is what we analyze.
Yes.
So you see,
what we've done, there was a deficit in generation.
No, but that is what you have done. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, I'm also speaking to what you have done. Mm-hmm. That the data I have a right to at least ask a few questions. Mm. Because the data, which seems to suggest the conclusion you are out with now, that there was a problem. I am saying that. Of course, this has not been admitted by the ministry, but I'm only speaking to your data. And the data really is that you spoke about a specific period with some data and used that data to conclude for the whole period. Mm. And that is why I have a problem. I'm using that, but today he is done peak.
Yes.
And I'm saying that I would want to engage him further to understand, because even with that, he said, he gave the figures, the raw figures. I want to understand how he arrived at those figures. He
sourced it from the document that you're
No, the documents, yes, but he didn't just source it from the document. Mm-hmm. He did an analysis of whatever he got and then arrived at these figures. Mm-hmm. I would want to engage, because what he did yesterday, I actually sat and engaged on it. And I have issues with the way it was done. But you see...
So your issue is with what he did yesterday?
Yes, and that is because he just did this today. Okay?
And today,
I will not comment on what has been done today because I'm yet to. I don't just... Do you understand? But what he did yesterday, I had an opportunity of going into it, and I had a few questions. I am not concluding as to whether the data he brought factual or whatever, but I'm raising issues. I'm raising questions, and I legitimately, as he has also raised issues contrary to what the ministry has put out there.
Our source is your document. Document that
if you understand me,
I understand you.
I'm saying that
we don't have an independent. Our source is your source.
No, but he has made. You see, he has made an analysis of the data he claimed he got from the documents. He's made some analysis. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not sure that anywhere in any document there was that description of a deficit in generation. He should show it to me. But he made the analysis. There's not.
No, but
I think it shows a 37% generation deficit since March.
Where are you reading from?
I researched this before I came. You know what? I think this is a lawyer. I mean, in terms of... It's a big way of saying a lot of things, but I think the general public, all they care about is my light
and that is what I'm coming to. You see...
Is my light on or off?
You see, that is what... If you heard me, when I started, I told you we have a problem. But you see, I think that you should also be magnanimous in accepting criticism, even though it's your work. But you see, we can always raise issues. So we can. If there is any, we should be able to. But the fact that I'm also raising issues.
We are saying that the issue at hand is not caused by, was not caused by Akosua.
That is yes. So per this you are putting out. It's as a result of an analysis your desk has made.
Yeah, but if you put that aside,
we should go into the analysis.
No. I'm not saying put it aside. I'm saying that even if you put it aside, as Ghanaians, before the Akosua fire, were they experiencing doomsaw?
Yes, but they have said, the ministry has said that it had to do with distribution challenges and not generation. They've said this. If you dispute it, you bring contrary, and I've said that here, in which you have brought, and we are analyzing. But the ministry has always said that the problems we had prior to Akosua had nothing to do with generation. They've said this. So you are bringing something different, and we need to analyze it. The ministry has never admitted.
We're not bringing anything different. We are bringing your own data analyzed by our team. That's all.
Yes, but the analysis is what has brought about this conclusion you claim, that the problem was as a result of generation challenges or the generation deficit.
So if your data says generation is 3,500, demand is 4,000.
Demand when?
We're using peak.
You see, that is done. But is it always peak?
Oh no, but you use average and the peak. No, and we're saying that at the peak level, if it is 3,500, isn't there?
But beyond here, let me speak
anyway,
to Ghanaians. No problem. No. But let me conclude. It's important. I will engage with
joining us.
No
so
problem.
Don't conclude here.
No.
Wait for Kofi.
You see, no, but this is important. Bear with me. For me, like I told you, I'm not very interested in this for now because the Ghanaian people would want to see their light. As my senior said, their lights on. So we have said this.
So your senior doesn't have light and you are justifying why she doesn't have light.
Nobody has said this. If you heard me, nobody has said that there is you heard
so
me
because your senior is there, you should shelve the other thing.
I should shelve what?
Senior, I'm sorry you don't have power. Let me move on.
But that is what I have to speak to Ghanaians, that it's an unfortunate situation. We are speaking to the Akosua incident because we know we are largely where we are because of the Akosua incident.
Okay.
That is our view. So we are sorry it's been worked on. You rightly said that the fourth engine is on. Hopefully by close of the week, we should have all the 6.
Okay, let me ask a question. So if you say your argument is that the doomsaw is caused because of what happened at Akosombo, if all the 6 units come on stream, we don't have to.
We have distribution challenges. And those distribution challenges are being worked on. We are changing transformers and some. Okay, you know this.
When will it be over?
No, it's been worked on. I cannot give you.
I'm itching. Let me just give you a
I love it. I wish I had that.
I'm itching to get in there. I feel like you have a very tough job this morning, Honorable. I would hate to be in your shoes, but with how much you did in opposition, running around and communicating like you were literally the paragon of wisdom and competence and virtue in this country. We expected more when we handed you power. Whether it is peak or what, it's irrelevant to us. What we care about is, do we have power? What I care about is that I had to wake up and come here and do my makeup, like in a haste. That is very inconveniencing to me. What I care about is yesterday I was working on a patient and the lights went off. So whether you are telling me distribution, this, that, it's irrelevant. Are you providing the power, yes or no? Let me go back to something the current energy minister himself said. Let us use his own words to just, reduce your argument this morning. He's made your job today a little tough. Let me just read exactly from what he said when he was in opposition. I watched his government accountability series yesterday. I listened to what he said and I was quite surprised if he didn't take a minute to listen to himself and what he said just a few years back. But let me just, let's go back to what Honorable Jinapo, the current energy minister, said. He said, and I am trying to read a transcription. So the issue is management. Is the issue management, maintenance, or financial? If ECG suddenly tells us that the whole of Ghana, our transformers are overloaded and their maintenance work is no more daytime, but rather between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. Let me just note that my lights went off at 3 a.m. this morning. So unless you are trying to tell me that they were working on the transformers at 3 a.m., I'm going to ask you the same thing. Just credit us with a modicum of intelligence. It is the excuses you are giving to the people of Ghana simply does not hold water. And it is so easy now because we can just go back and see what you said when the situation wasn't even this bad. You are obviously having a generation problem. Instead of coming up and then opening up so that we can discuss it, you are just doing everything to make nonsense of the issue. And this is because of the elephant in the room. Not long ago, you came to the people of Ghana, went to Parliament to introduce a levy that we call the doomsaw levy. And we were made to believe that after paying that 1 Ghana cedi, all our problems with power generation was going to be solved. So even as we were agitating at the extra cost that the Ghanaian person would have to pay on fuel, there was this, thinking at the back of our minds that, okay, if this is to provide fuel for our thermal plants and we're going to have stable power supply. You know, let's just do the best we can and tighten our belts and pay this 1 cedi. We've been paying this money for a couple of months. You haven't accounted for that money. You are obviously having a generation problem now. And every day you wake up and you are spinning a different tale to us. The last time I saw that a video ECG had posted, now I don't know if they've turned into content creators, of a python doing something in the Ashanti region. And especially, let me talk about the Ashanti region, because for us in Accra, it looks like this problem is a little more recent. But for the people in Ashanti region, I can tell you confidently that the whole of this year, it has been an absolute kerfuffle when it comes to the electricity generation of the country, of the region. It is so bad. You can go 3 days without power in Ashanti region and nothing is being said, nothing is being done. And we wake up and every day is another excuse, another excuse, another excuse. Coming from the same person that told us that we should credit them with some intelligence. What changed now? Now when you are in government and the onus is on you and we expect that you deliver based on the responsibility that the Ghanaian people have given to you, then now we have an array of excuses. I think the only thing you guys can be credited for or commended for is how quickly you come up with excuses. We expect that you solve the problem. The next time I'm coming here, I don't want to be rushing here and then coming here to do my makeup. I want to wake up comfortably. And I'm sure that's what every Ghanaian wants. They don't want their fish in the cold store, in the supermarkets to go bad. The young women that have started small businesses with local fruit juices and co, they don't want to have to throw away their whole inventory because you couldn't keep the lights on. And it's becoming synonymous with the NDC government. I honestly thought that, you know, on the second coming of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, considering how mad his first term was with doomsaw, he was almost synonymous with doomsaw. I mean, even right now, you can Google him and you find a BBC article calling him the doomsaw president. So I was hoping that on his return, it would be something that he would take very serious and try to deal with. But obviously, those that had all the answers in opposition knew everything are now faced with the same problem. And I'm actually disappointed that you are not even upping the game to give us new excuses. You are recycling the same excuses that you didn't take just 2 years ago.
Let me bring in Kofi Agyeman. Kofi, so lawyers seem to have an issue with what we've done. That yesterday, he didn't go on what we've done today. He says yesterday, we compared peak to average. You wanted to understand in the morning, what was it? In the afternoon, what was it? In the evening, what is it?
Also, definitely, I mean, if you look at the generation, it goes on an upward trajectory where it starts in the morning very low, in the afternoon a bit high, and in the evening, generation is really high. If you compare that to demand, it's the same thing. I was listening to the issues that he had with we comparing the average to the peak, right? I appreciate his feedback, but I want to say that even if you are looking at the peak data we are using currently, it's an estimation for 2025, right? And if you are somebody who really knows the energy sector, well, you will know that both generation and demand grow on an average about 10% annually. So there are those who have even made comment that they don't believe the actual peak demand of 4,400 for this year or 4,300 for this year, and that Kojo Boateng, I mean, I did the estimation with him. He believes that it's about, 4,600, between 4,000 and 4,700. So we had an issue with how static the data can be. So in statistics, when you have such a problem, what you can do is to compare the average you have to the data that is closest to the truth in terms of comparison. Because if you use a very low figure, it will give you, an outcome that can be very misleading. If you use the middle, because in this instance, you have two extreme figures, which is making the middle look a bit, in terms of average, is not so accurate. So what you can do is to look at what is so important in terms of the generation, which is the peak demand. That is why we compare the average to the peak demand. And even making the point about where our peak demand currently is, there are those who still believe that 2026, the estimation is that it could be about 4,600 or 4,700. And so even the data that we compare with the average yesterday, we believe that is even lower. And that if it's compared to that of 4,600, the deficit could have been more. But I want to put across that if you strike the average for the entire year in terms of production, whether morning, afternoon, evening, from 1st January to 22nd April before the fire incident, our average production was 3,400. Whether you compare it to the average of the day, which is about 3,900, you find a deficit. whether you compare it to the peak, which currently we are being made to know that is about 4,400, you find a deficit. And so in our analysis, we, since yesterday, are making it clear to you that the maximum deficit you can get in terms of power generation is around 1,000 on the average, but minimum, whether you are comparing average to peak or average to average, minimum, there was a deficit of 500 megawatts that we needed to shed even before the fire incident. So that's our explanation.
Well, so I'm allowed to ask.
Yes.
So, is it that you don't have the data, or why are you able to tell us? For me, what you did yesterday, I'm still back to what you did yesterday. Are you able to tell us what the specific demand on, for instance, on a day like the first day of March that you worked with? Are you able to tell us the specific figure or data for instance, the morning of that day? Do you have that?
So we know demand fluctuates, and we go with the projections made by the Energy Commission. So we are able to use the Energy Commission data to extrapolate.
And the Energy Commission data gives us what?
The Energy Commission data says peak demand, according to even the minister's latest update, says about 4,400. But if you use the Energy Commission's data, what we have currently is estimation for 2025.
Yes.
And we need to be clear that it's even an estimation, so it could be more for 2025. We don't have data. The Energy Commission hasn't made available the 2026 outlook. So we are still relying on the demand for 2025 to make those extrapolations. And we are saying that the closest that can give us in terms of comparison is a peak demand that was estimated for 2025, because we simply do not have the 2026 data.
Absolutely.
So if we want to make the comparison, then it means that we have to rely on the Energy Commission to give us the estimation for 2026, which is currently not available. So what we did was to rely on the growth rate provided by the Energy Commission to be able to do that comparison that we did yesterday.
Okay, and for March, the hydro underperformance.
Exactly.
And the thermal plant at only 66% capacity. Could you speak to that? Because maybe that would make the audience understand what you're
saying. So even if you look at a day before the incident, what you clearly see that in terms of we are trying to explain dependable versus installed. Because our installed capacity, according to the Energy Commission, is about 5,200. Yesterday, the Energy Ministry, Roxanne and Co. were explained that it's now close to about 6,000. We don't have data for that. But what we can rely on is the Energy Commission's estimation, which they say is about 5,200. Our dependable, the one we can rely on at every point in time, is 4,885. Currently, we are producing below the dependable, which simply will tell you that should there be an issue, you plunge yourself into deficit. The deficit can vary. The minimum we are estimating is about 500. Maximum can be 1,000. But she spoke about the underperformance. A day after the incident, you were expecting that now that we have a deficit from Akosua, thermal plants should be running on, maximum. But when we checked the data, we realized that all the thermal plants were not running at maximum, especially Asona Sogli was running around 74. If you do this, Senate was even down. Sen Power was producing somewhere around 80. I'm not so sure of the data. But on average, what you see is that the thermal plants were producing around 66 to about 70% in terms of capacity. That was the time that you had a challenge, and you were expecting the thermal plant to even come in to solve the situation. They were even producing below capacity. Talk about hydro. Pong was not producing capacity. The one that was close to about capacity will be Bui, because Bui we know operates 1 unit, and when we have peak comes to about 3 units, right? Bui was also not producing at full capacity. If you look at Pong Thermal, wasn't producing at capacity. In fact, at a point, Pong Thermal was down, was not producing even when we had a crisis, and we're looking for alternatives. These plants were down and we're not producing. So if we say we have issues with generation, the grid data that we have gotten from Gridco ECG, which we have the Excel sheet, if you want, I can actually share with you, shows that there was production or generation deficit even since January 1st to April 22nd, since a day before the incident, we still had generation deficit. 24 hours before the incident, we had generation deficit, because the average for that 24 hours before the incident was nowhere close to our dependable, was nowhere close to our peak.
Okay.
Okay, so does the ECG, would it be fair to say that the ECG cannot generate what they cannot pay for?
So in fact, at the moment, ECG possibly does not generate. ECG distributes.
Okay.
So when you talk about generation, it should come from GridCo.
And the sector.
From VRA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So ECG cannot distribute what they have not received from GridCo, right, or from VRA. And in fact, we are even talking about gap, right? This figure here, we believe can even be more because there are transmission losses.
Exactly.
We've not even factored into that.
Yeah.
Transmission losses about 28%. If you add that to this, you are getting close to about even minimum 900 megawatts of load to be shared, because we are looking at the power that was being made available from GridCo to ECG.
Yeah.
From GridCo to ECG, when it comes to ECG, it loses about 28% of the power that has been transmitted. So we've not even factored all of those things inside. If you want us to factor all of those things, we believe that the figure, even at minimum, could be more.
So, and I hope, but I will engage you further.
No problem.
On this, but I mean, for the sake of, and are you also able to say that, per your analysis, whatever conclusions you have as a result of debts owed the IPPs, is that what you're saying?
No, we say there are so many contributing factors. First one has to do with generation, which could be faults, it could be debt, it could be anything.
Well, as well.
What the intelligence we are getting is that currently WAPCO is doing cash and carry. We know that we used to owe WAPCO sometimes 1 year, 2 years before we even pay that debt, but now it's cash and carry. Maximum is about 10 days. We know we had issues with Atuabo, right? That was a problem. We know we need to find close about $2 billion this year to buy fuel or gas. At the moment, the 1 cedi levy that was introduced brings in on average about $700 million. That in itself is not enough to afford fuel for the entire year. We know that the energy sector suffers an average shortfall of about 21 billion Ghana cedis. Shortfalls paid last year was the lowest we have seen in the last decade. Shortfalls paid for last year was the low because we had the 1 cedi levy coming in for government to be able to buy the fuel. And even with the 1 cedi levy, the average of $700 million is not enough to buy the fuel of $2 billion that we need for this year. So in terms of debt, we believe that they are legacy debt, but we cannot say that that is the only reason why there are issues. Some of the power plants may have issues. Some of the power plants may say that, well, we still have a legacy debt, but we want to produce.
And that is,
but some will say that
that is my final question to you, that beyond most of the figures you are using and the analysis are based on what is available. Text.
Yes.
No, on paper. Have you gone beyond the paper to find out from some of these companies who you claim were underproducing to find out why?
Yes, we've actually spoken to 2 of them, and they have indicated gas issues. One of them that we spoke to, which was producing around 70%, said they had issues, they did not have insufficient gas. Right? And that's one of the biggest IPPs we have in this country. They said they are not producing a maximum, not because they have fault, but simply because they don't have gas. So we've actually gone ahead to do our own background checks to call some of the IPPs. And in fact, one of them, which has been down for the past about 10 days, also has issues with gas and also faults. So there's a cocktail of different factors. But the point we are making is that we had a generation deficit even before the fire incident of 22nd. And that, for us, we believe the minimum is 558 megawatt. Maximum could be around 1,000, depending on how you are comparing the data.
Kofi, thank you very much. And that's our solid head of our solid research desk, Kofi-Addo there. Yeah, lawyer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I've been waiting to have my turn. Good morning to your cherished listeners and my co-panelists. I think that, the main question posed was, should the energy minister resign or not? I don't think he should resign.
Okay.
This power problem we have is something that has been on for some time. However, I think the government...
For some time when?
I'm talking about successive governments. And to give credit to the NDC, I think the last time we had some significant improvement was during the Ameri power plant deal. That's when we had some stability, which fortunately helped the MPP throughout their period. But however, I think that the NDC has to be candid with us. This thing is not about. I believe that the problem was exposed by your analyst, that we generate power in dollars and yet we pay in cedis. We sell in cedis. So anytime our exchange rates suffers, we have all these problems. It is not the Akosombo fire. Before the Akosombo fire, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said that we're going to have some temporary load shedding issues because of the change in, in transformers. And then we had this fire, and then we had the two pythons in Ahojo, and I mean, come on. So I agree with some of my co-panelists who say that our intelligence shouldn't be insulted as much, and I have to be fair. NDC, NPP, they all try their best when it comes to the energy sector. But what is going on now, there's a bigger problem. They should be candid. And I was also struggling to find out exactly where the issue was. But your analyst has laid it bare. There's a financial issue. There should be some honesty there. So for us to deal with it. However, I don't think removing the energy minister per se will solve it, because the solution to our energy problems is clear. It's to explore nuclear energy. There are plans afoot that by early 2030, we should be able to add 1,200 megawatts to our power generation when we go nuclear. And your analyst said that what we need is 4,850 something. We are currently producing at peak 4,400. So if we're able to get this 1,002 on board, we'll be going far above what we produce. Energy is a problem almost everywhere. When Senior here was talking about Sierra Leone, I remember once I went for a business trip to see a client in Nigeria, and the hotel I slept at, a top hotel in Lagos, that night, anytime the electricity goes off, the generator comes on, and I was counting. The light went off 48 times. Hey. 48 on, off, on, off. 48 times.
That would drive some of us mad.
48 times. And there was another time
we live in luxury.
Yes. There was another time I visited a relation in Johannesburg who was living at a prime location, and the lights kept on going off. So let's be fair to ourselves as Ghanaians that we are having a doomsaw problem. Let's not call it any other name. However, comparatively, our situation is a bit better. But let's still forge ahead together and then find a solution. Okay. We should stop denying and trying to call it different names. There is a doomsaw problem. The only solution, as proposed by Osajifo, the one who gave us the Akosombo Dam, he said the next thing that will solve it is atomic energy. Set up the Ghana Atomic Energy Agency in 1960. I'm not saying that it's only the CPP who can solve the problems, but both the MPP and NDC, they've bought into the atomic energy plan, and so let's pursue. Let's see how we can speed it up.
The nuclear power Ghana was set up.
Exactly. So let's speed that up, because with the current mode of our power generation, every few years we are going to have what we are facing now, until we're able to wean ourselves off the current situation.
Amanda, let me bring you in now. Now, the Great Council has been asked to step aside because of what happened and because they are investigating it. If that's the case, don't other people have the right to say that if you have asked the head of that company to step aside, then you as the ultimate head should also step aside?
I think people just feel like, let's start with him, and then the signal will go out to all other departments and to government themselves that, Ghanaians are tired of this. So, like the case of anybody being asked to step down because the buck stops here, people don't analyze too much, well, what are the people doing around him or under him? It's symbolic of, we will not take this for another 3 years. If you have promised us by Thursday, Friday, this is going to be resolved. If you have said this is not a money issue, and it's a phasing issue, and it's going to be resolved so fast that we don't have to issue a timetable. And if you said all these things, then after Friday, somebody's head, should go. Okay. Basically.
All right. Okay.
I'm going to be just a little more charitable and not even touch on that. But I can see how it's a very tough situation for the current energy minister. Again, because of what he said. Just so much has been said. You could go to Google and YouTube and just search for his videos in opposition. And I mean, it makes for a good comedy show. But one thing I have been thinking about is we always go around this problem, and like almost everyone around this table has said, so far as we continue to focus on this thermal generation and all of that, it's an expensive business. It's always going to be expensive for the country. That's why there was this deliberate shift to move to renewables, increase our renewable capacity to about 2,000 megawatts. That was His Excellency Dr. Bawumia's plan, and to, of course, add on with the nuclear and all of that. But sadly, we didn't have the chance. I saw something interesting when the NDC came into power. They named...
lawyer.
I've tried to be very charitable and magnanimous with him, because there's no way to go about this. We don't have lights. There's nothing you can tell us. Anyway, they named the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Yeah. We've not seen anything with the green transition again, and it looks like he's struggling with the little that's on his table just to make sure that what he inherited is enough to take care of us. He doesn't seem to be able to deal with that. So it's like we have to not hold our breath with the green transition part, because I haven't seen anything about that. 2 budgets have been read. I haven't seen any financial commitment to the green transition. I don't know if it was just a word play or something to appeal to us younger generation that are more interested in renewables. Was it just another gimmick like their 24-hour economy? It looks like that's the only thing. The doomsaw is the only thing that's running a shift, because someone has lights at this point, and that's the only way that it seems like their phantom 24-hour economy is working, with our lights going off. Okay. So, I mean, we are all living in this country. Nobody ever wants that situation to persist. So we'll hope that the minister figures out what he's doing quickly and stops these settings. Because I did some research and I found out that the Gridco CEO, who has been asked to step aside, was already due. He was going on pension next month or something.
There was a letter from Gridco on Monday announcing that he is going on his annual leave.
Exactly my point.
And asking that Engineer Otre is the one managing it.
So you see, let me just use Honorable Jinapo's words again. I mean, credit us with some modicum of wisdom. We are following what's going on. We are really interested in the energy sector. So these settings really, it's just pissing people off a little, because he was on his way out. So creating this impression like heads are rolling, that you are working, is actually deviating from the main problem. It means you're actually not spending time on the main problem. And then a shake-up of ECG and Ashanti region. Really? Do you think the sabotage, people in Ashanti region are intentionally sabotaging it so that they go home and they don't have power? Really? Come on.
Lawyer.
You see, I tried as much as possible not to be partisan. And you heard it. Of course, I needed to get into the data that had nothing to do with partisan politics. But my sister has done virtually everything politics today. And I'm surprised. The energy sector record of NPP, they are the last to speak. Let's get into the data, and I'm sure your people will tell you. What did you leave behind? For the 8 years you were in power, let's not go there. We have a problem. This shouldn't be the time, but you see, please allow me, please. You see, to do this, Honorable Jinapo said this, and then you are speaking about Kumasi. Kumasi has started experiencing its problems just in 2025. Is that what you are telling us? They give you the highest votes. What did you do for them? In the 8 years, when they had this problem, they've always had it. What did you do? If it had been resolved, would we have inherited it? And you expect us, what you couldn't do in 8 years, you expect us to do it within a year and 3 months. Why are we doing this? Tell us, what did you add to the capacity in 8 years? We are talking about generation capacity. And we don't have much. That's the analysis. So tell us. I thought that as the spokesperson for your running mate, your flag bearer, and then the vice president. You have a record. Put it before us. This is what we did.
Just give me time.
No, you chose what to do with your time. Tell us what you did in the energy sector that left us with that huge debt. We've been able to pay 1.7 billion within 1 year. What did you do? What did you do? You see, it's not nice. This morning, people have not had power. They want to have power. We are appealing to them to, but you are.
I hope your question is not to say they did nothing.
No, I would respond. Let him finish.
In terms of payment.
No, you spoke. If you speak, I'll speak again.
No.
So you see, if you want us to have that, we'll get into your record. Tell us. They should tell us. I'm asking. I'm asking generation. What did they do? How many megawatts did they add? Thermal, hydro, whatever, 8 years. Tell us. What did you do? Beyond that, with the legacy debt, how much did you pay? What did you leave behind? If she has the data, she should supply us. You see, and then the issue of Kumasi, she is trying to, instigate them and then all that. You should tell us the record. Well, that's how I saw it. Allow me. So tell us what you did in Kumasi after the then. What has become of the plant that was taken to Kumasi? Go and see what's happening to it now.
I say it's not producing.
No, I'm asking, have you find out what is happening to it? You see, what was the challenge in Kumasi? And what did you do to it? It is not the day for such discussion. The discussion we have, we actually concede. The minister concedes that there has been a problem. And we Ghanaians do not want this usual NDC MPP thing. But if we are to go into who did what in the energy sector, the MPP under His Excellency Nana Addo, Danko Akufo-Addo, and then Dr. Baumia should be the last to speak on this matter. They should be the last. We never said, and let me put this, we never said that we've cleared all legacy debt. I have scrolled, I've checked, nobody ever said that. We said we've cleared 1.47 billion. That's what we said.
The word there was we've cleared debt.
No, cleared, we've cleared 1.47, please. If you have a quotation contrary to that, you can give that to me. We've cleared 1.47. In fact, we even went further to say that we had a certain arrangement with them to deal with the rest. I mean, the debt wasn't 1.47. So we couldn't have said that we cleared all debt. But if we said that we cleared 1.47 billion, it's significant. And that is why the IPPs, are not shouting as they used to under President Akufo-Addo. Of course, with this sector, there would always be some debts. You know why. If you understand the dealings in this sector, there will always be some debt. But at least there's been some respite with regards payment to them and a certain conscious effort to deal with the debt, the legacy debt. Nobody has said, of course, the 1 cedi levy, which is largely to be used for fuel, is not enough. That's a fact. But at least it's a start. It's something that would help. And so the government would have, of course, to carve out some other funds to augment it in order to stabilize it. We have a problem, we concede that we have a problem. And part of the problem, and we all also concede, has to do with distribution. The Kumasi problem is more of distribution. And the minister has given that assurance that he is coming to Kumasi himself to ensure that this problem is over. I believe that I didn't want to do this, so listeners and viewers should forgive me. But you see, when somebody tries to pontify as though
when you're finished, let me respond to the questions you asked. You asked a lot of questions.
I didn't ask you.
And I have a lot of answers.
Then we can engage. When he's done, I'll decide. Well, I just spoke generally. If you want us to get into the specifics, I have all the data. We'll do that. So if you want to
I'll just give 1 minute each.
Yes, so do and let me.
So I didn't want this to be a re-litigation of what happened in the past. I don't think Ghanaians expect that. They went to the polls in 2024. They voted. They made their decision. It is now your responsibility to fix it. But let's just set a few records straight here. In 2017, the MPP inherited a lot of almost disastrous take-or-pay agreements from the NDC government. In 2022, in fact, and I have the press release
from the ministry at that time. In 2020 alone, this government has paid in excess of 1 billion to IPPs. This is on top of the 2.7 billion Ghana cedis paid by ECG. So we were settling the energy sector debts. In 2017, when we came into government, there was about 2.1 to 2.5 billion inherited debts. So let's not sit here and behave like debt is something new. We also inherited debt. You can't say there was no capacity added. I literally have in front of me here all the units of power we've added from 2017 to 2024. We even did a lot of solar, the Laura Khalil solar farm, all of that. We increased the capacity of Aska, Asogli, Car Power. It's all here, and then I can forward it to you so that you can share it on. You cannot deny the fact that MPP was in government for 8 years. We did not get everything right, and we don't sit here and pontificate like we got everything right. But the issues in the power sector were progressing. We had some problems at a point in time, about 3 months, where there was an issue. You did not spare us. You made such a big issue. There was no grief for the Minister of Energy at that point. There was no dialogue. There was no, let's solve this for the people of Ghana. It was just politicking. And this morning, when I sit here and use your own words, what you said, and ask you on behalf of the good people of Ghana, then you want to come back and ask me what the MPP did. Actually, we didn't do bad when it comes to the energy sector. Okay. Like I said, we inherited debt. We paid some, just like you have done. Okay. The difference is we were, by and large, able to keep the lights on for that 8 years. It's not the MPP that has the tag of the doomsaw president. That is your problem. And sadly, you are doing the same thing now. I mean, how are we moving forward from this?
See, it is not a fact that the problems we had with power was just TV much. Look, check, and your team will tell you the whole of 2024, according to the Agric report, power was shared every month. If you don't know, I'm telling you this. Check.
The same way you are denying that we are sharing power now.
You see, when you do this, allow me.
No, the same way you are denying that we are sharing power. We are not talking about 2024. We are not in 2024.
I thought you were dealing with your record.
There was an election.
Why are you running away from your record? Let me deal with your record. Don't run away from it.
Not an ounce of power.
I am telling you that contrary to what you said, it's not true that the challenge was only for 3 months. The whole of 2024.
Let's move
that is your experience. I don't think that's the general.
That's what the record says.
You haven't provided
Thank you. Let's move
Oh, really?
I will give it to you. You said that you didn't add anything.
Thank you.
We added a lot of power. We didn't pay.
Thank you. Let me deal with that one.
I'm grateful. You see, I gave you that. Yes.
We are doing so right now. You are denying it, and you are coming to tell us about
I'm saying you're 2024.
Let's make progress.
Don't run away from when you stick to your record.
Let's make progress. It's fine. Let's move on to the issues with.
You were worse in the energy sector.
Let's talk about the South African protest and the safety of Ghanaians and look at the way forward. I'll start with you, Amanda, again, because you've been doing a lot of travels, and then I'll bring in a lawyer as well, not Beidou, but both you. So, Amanda, how do we safeguard Ghanaians who are living in South Africa?
Well, I think the foreign minister has done a great job in putting forward, the message that Ghanaians everywhere will be protected. It's very much what the US does in terms of, any citizen they have in any country. If something is happening, they will bring light to that. So I do think that already they've done a very good job by saying they will repatriate Ghanaians who want to come back, and they're going to send a plane, etc. And I think the lady, Queen V, who was leading the charge in South Africa, came up with something in the last 24 hours where she sort of tried to spin things a little and say that, well, if we provided opportunities to Ghanaians, we wouldn't be doing things like nail jobs and different things like that. I mean, she came up with something really silly.
That if we Ghana...
instead of the foreign minister speaking like this, he should rather be working on how Ghanaians can provide more opportunities to their fellow Ghanaians that they wouldn't have to go to South Africa. Yes, I mean, it was on Ghana Web. It was leading on Ghana Web this morning.
Does she know what South Africans are doing in Ghana?
Exactly.
Argument.
I mean, exactly.
Go and fix
Is that a Zuma lady?
Yes, I think she's... yes, that's what she said. But, I mean, my honest view about this is that, the foreign minister has done a great job, as usual. But in a way, I also do get this slight sense that leadership must stop deflecting and prioritize Ghana first in terms of we who are in Ghana as well. And I say that because, for instance, when there was this whole talk about the OSP and 10 civil society groups coming out and saying that they wanted to join the petition with the OSP. You know, something came out like, and I know the timing could have been different, but the president said something like, oh, you know, don't eat banku after 7 p.m. Or something like that. And I was just like, what everybody's talking about this that really matters, and you're doing this. And then the next thing that came out was this South Africa thing. You know what I mean? Which is, we should focus on it, but if you have millions of Ghanaians talking about our architecture for crime in terms of we might not want it changed to the point where executive gatekeeping happens. Perhaps speak to that more, even if it's going to the Supreme Court, and speak to the fact that, you know, lights out, doomsaw, and, you know, the points made earlier were very important. We're talking about people who have freezers full of fish, produce. I mean, this is a real Ghana. That's why I was smiling earlier. The statistics are great, and it might be lost on a lot of the public, but the truth is, the average woman who is selling fish in her freezer and the light goes off for 3 days in Kumasi cares more about how government is going to address that immediately and cries about it on the pulpit. You know what I mean? I think one of the leaders was recently crying on Sunday about, you know, his people won't do that again in terms of how they spoke to a pastor. And I was like thinking, but if you did this for the public of Ghana, you were crying about how they were crying about their ECG and their OSP and their, you know what I mean, rather than one individual. And I'm sorry to say this, but that was my view. So ultimately, I do think that, you know, Ghanaians protecting other Ghanaians in different countries and even sending a plane to get them back is a good signal. But the millions of Ghanaians who voted for you care more about you addressing our ECG problem, care about executive gatekeeping. OSP might not be working, so improve it or change the legislature, but address it. You know what I mean? Don't talk about Banku per se and, you know, making such a big deal about this South Africa thing, which it could have just been dealt with in a 10-minute briefing.
Okay, all right.
You know?
Thank you very much. Alawoto.
Yes,
because this has been a recurrent, you know, happening. How do we really do it? Get it done such that it won't happen again.
You know, it's a problem that will require a lot of education, you see, because I think so far the foreign minister and the Ghana embassy in South Africa, they are doing a good job. However, this is something that is Africa-wide. And, you know, there was a time when I was at Legon, I and a group of Ghanaian students went for this conference in another African country. I don't want to drag another African country into this. And we were walking on the street, and they called out to me because of my slightly different complexion. Okay. That you are a brother. Why are you walking with these people? They are thieves, this, that. And we started, laughing amongst ourselves because they didn't know I was a Ghanaian. You know, sometimes we look at just appearances and we have our own prejudices. You see, South Africa has been through a lot of turmoil. I've been there a few times. I know the story of, is it Lionel Peterson, the young boy who was killed, and the apartheid era and all that. And when I look at some of those leading this xenophobic cause, one of them was born in 1986, 4 years before Mandela was released. And I remember when Mandela was released, I was in primary school. We were on our way back home. And when it was announced on radio, it was an emotional moment. Cars stopped, horns were blowing, Ghanaians were rejoicing that Mandela has been released. But this young lady, she does not, I don't think she knows that history. She doesn't know what her people have been through. She doesn't know the role of Ghana. And the role of Ghana in that. You see, and a cousin of mine posted about how my uncle actually gave a personal check of $10,000 to.
Oh, that's your cousin?
Yes, he's my cousin.
Already? I was like, hey, those days, $10,000. Hey.
And I didn't even know that. Because at a point in my school, I used to work for my uncle.
Okay.
And I didn't know that. You see, and when he posted it, I looked at the reactions, and only about 10 people were laughing on Facebook. And when I checked, there were South African names, and I was very hurt. But of course, it goes back to education, letting us know, or letting the current crop of whether South Africans, Ghanaians, Nigerians, whoever, know where we have come from as a people, and having a common destiny. Because we can't say Ghana to our hands are exactly clean. We've had Nigeria must go before in the
and Ghana must go
in the late 60s. We've had Ghana must go in Nigeria in the is it late 70s or
I think it should be the 80s
or the 80s.
Yeah.
You see, so it's something that is not limited to South Africa alone. We need to educate ourselves. We need to know where we have come from and where we are going, and that we have a common enemy. The common enemy is not the common enemy is poverty, disease. It is not your brother who belongs to another tribe or another country or another complexion. South Africans, of course, they are frustrated, and I would say that the white South Africans, they are also South Africans. They've also contributed to the South African economy. They are not going anywhere. But sometimes there may be some grievances by the black South Africans that their land has been taken and all that. But, I mean, the opportunities for reparation, the opportunities for returning your land. However, do not take it out on your fellow black man. And in Ghana, sometimes we are tempted to do that. Even in Nigeria recently, with the kidnapping of John Aaron, people came out speaking against the Fulanis. I said, why are you speaking against them as a people? It was just one or two or three, a few Fulani boys who captured this boy. So we just have to get rid of these prejudices in our educational system. And it's everywhere, even in Ghana. But I think South Africa has to work harder on that, and all these things will be solved. And of course, I admit that they said they just want undocumented migrants to be thrown out of the country. But the undocumented migrants, only the black people. And I think the migrants there too, they should also take steps where they can to regularize their stay. But it all boils down to education.
Look.
I think this it's been one of those things that have been difficult to watch, quite frankly, for our own brothers and sisters to do that. And I think it just goes to along the same lines that everybody is saying, like a breakdown in our knowledge of our own history. Because if you look at the contribution of Ghana as a state, we were one of the first African countries to gain independence. I think the first.
The first is sub-Saharan Africa.
And we spent a lot of our money, I mean, to the dismay of, our predecessors, when you're looking at it.
That's what Amanda is saying.
Yeah, we didn't want to give them, so much of our money, but we did. We invested a lot.
Nkrumah thought that without the African continent uniting together, getting that independence,
we can have, I think we should have some 2 hours for this particular debate so that we can go into it. But I think a lot of people don't even know that. They don't know how much we contributed to their struggle and everything that happened with apartheid. But if history teaches you anything, it looks like when these things start, it never really stops. And it can quickly really degenerate. So I think it's never a good thing to say, but I think it might be time for our brothers and sisters in South Africa to come home.
Exactly.
Because when they start doing these things, they never stop. You can look at what happened to the Jews during World War II, Rwanda. It looks like when a group of people, as soon as an us versus them rhetoric starts anywhere, it usually goes to the bloody end. And they seem like they're serious. They have no idea that the more they talk, the more confusing they sound. They just seem like they have a lot of rage in them. And rage and anger, if you add in poverty, is just a recipe for disaster. So I think this is about time for them to come back home. We are really industrious as Ghanaians, and mostly we are accepted wherever we go. But if our own South African brothers and sisters want us to come back, just come back home. There's always stuff to do here. I'm never going to be one of the advocates of, NDC is in power, they can't keep the lights on, so let's run away. That's never going to be. Let's come back and try and make it work. Let's just remind them that we voted for you. current government fix it. Stop telling us about what happened in 2024. So really, that's really all I have to say about it. I just hope they come back. And, you know, let me just do something that I don't think I've ever done. I must commend the Foreign Ministry.
Yes.
I mean, I noticed that, and I mean, he's one of the people that I'm always blasting, but I mean, on this issue, I think he's handled it quite well.
Job, yeah.
You know, he's been on top of the matters. We need to have that kind of national pride as a country. You need to be proud to say that I'm a Ghanaian with my Ghanaian passport, so that if I go somewhere, I know I can go to my consul and then have, you know, so I think that's a good thing that we have doing. Honorable Oyekoboche started, and this minister is also doing well. So I'm not going to lash him today, but those that deserve the lashing, we will lash them, and we are not going to take you telling us what happened in 2024.
Apart from studying medicine, did you do any political communication? Lawyer.
Also,
it looks like there's, because last week and this week, one thing I hear people talk about is that our brothers, South Africans, sort of have lost some identity, they don't seem to realize who they are. Is that the case? How do we help them know?
So for me, instead of generalizing what is happening, I think we must call those who are doing this out. Of course, we've all commended the government of the day, led by the minister. They've had some engagement. The South African authorities have also spoken to this. What I have not heard, it was reassuring when the statement that was released, but I am not too sure whether they've been able to make any arrest beyond.
We haven't heard.
So that is where, and I said it when the statement was released, that they shouldn't let this be one of those, because it happened, and because for the reason people would generalize it and then make it look as though it's a South African country that is doing this. It's when the government fails to act. And so far, beyond the statement, I've not heard of any arrest or prosecution. This is what I would want to see, because, it's not, except it's a state-sponsored. These were private people who were all over the place. But if it is left this way without further arrest and prosecution, then we can't safely say that it was state-sponsored. It's unfortunate, because you know the history of South Africa, as has been said. We all know, we don't have time to get into all that. It would be unfortunate to ever think or suggest that South Africa, it's not an African country. We all helped them get to where they are now. And you see, they should be very careful, because we have South African companies all over, huge ones. Entrepreneurs, huge ones. See, so seriously.
And they make a lot of money from Ghana.
So much money. Sometimes you are careful how you proceed. And it's because we are very peaceful people. You would have seen something else. So they should be careful. We shouldn't go this route. Otherwise, it will be something else. But we've had some assurances from the ministry and then the authorities of the South African. I am aware that some engagements are still ongoing, but I still want to see some arrests. That would, if they don't arrest it, because these people did it, without any shame of being, they filmed it. The videos are all over. They are known. So what are you doing about it? Are you just condemning them? It was unfortunate. It was this. You will not, and then that's it. You don't do that. As we speak, there are over 3,000 South Africans in Ghana. And they are working free. Nobody has asked anybody any question. But you see, this issue with they should come home, I think we all have reasons for traveling. It's not always, what do you call it? Economic. It's not always. So you do not know. And recently, we had this visa-free app. At least you can stay in that country for 90 days without it. So what's the essence? So you are making this whole thing, almost useless. They should stop it. And if it means maybe, and in all these, where's the African Union? I am not too sure.
I was asking myself the same thing.
No, the funny thing is, I don't know, sometimes you should read the comments of the lady's videos, the Zuma lady. That's why I was saying they should come home, because she has a lot of support. It seems like there are a lot of people in South Africa that are subscribing to whatever it is she's saying.
And I think it's all because the South African authority is also, because you see, we all have our problems. Every country has its own problems. And I don't want to even, that lady, I've read a few about it, but I've been ascribing your challenges to the fact that there are illegal immigrants and the fact that people want to just exploit their labor because it's cheap and all that.
That's how it always happens.
If you have a problem in your country, I mean, how is that supposed to be my problem? Your leaders, if you want to demonstrate against your leaders, you are free to do so. But how is that? Because most of the Ghanaians, they are entrepreneurs. Without a South African document, how can you even take over the works they claim the expatriates are taking? You can't. How can you be in South Africa?
They are taking their women.
Because most of the Ghanaians there are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's the main problem.
And they are sometimes, I know that some of them even employ the South Africans and teach them some of these things, the hair, the beauty, whatever and all that. So how is that most of them being entrepreneurs, doing their own things there, and then you come and tell us they are taking over your way? I mean, it's I don't want to, but we shouldn't go this route. They may be the worst losers. We have to go there.
Yeah.
Can I just add something that, I think one also has to appreciate the history of South Africa in terms of, in order to be successful for apartheid or with apartheid, they had to do divide and conquer. So self-hatred amongst tribes, self-hatred like men, women, divide them, divide the tribes, divide the sex, pitch them against each other so they never get to a certain level, etc., etc. And it's ingrained in society. So kind of like how America, there's a lot of history of, divide and conquer, in order to advance that sort of movement. So when you do something like that, it is so ingrained that even the blacks themselves, the society themselves, replicates that because they are trained to replicate it. It's like social science, you see. So when you do things like, okay, we need to control the blacks so they don't eat at certain places, they don't drink at certain places, they work for us, etc., etc., they don't vote. There's a lot of psychology in order to accomplish that. And the leftover of that psychology is what we're seeing now in terms of actual self-hatred of South Africans, some of them, because they can't get past a certain job level, and then they blame other people, and then when that doesn't work, you blame the foreigners, So Ghanaians, yes, do come home if you can, and if you can't and you want to live there, South Africa is a beautiful country. I've been there, love it. Really, really nice country, and nobody should push you out, sort of thing. But I'm very happy that the South African rep, reported immediately, and they apologized and said they were going to address it. And this is going to happen.
As lawyer asked, after they said, have they made any arrests? Let's see how
I think that'll be difficult. I hear they are going into elections. But, I mean, just to add to what you said, it's like hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like they have a long history of hurt. So sometimes it's easy to understand them. But, I mean, the path that they are charting is quite dangerous. I mean, we sit here in Ghana and we complain and fight each other all the time. But I mean, let me be the first to say we are not doing terribly as an African country if we want to compare ourselves to the others. So
and we're not violent.
Yeah, so they might have to watch what they are doing. We might not be the best country to pick a fight.
Agree, just like we've done here this morning.
Yeah, but in the end, there's always like a little bit of a forward march. We always do a better job than them, but there's always a forward march.
Okay, so let's deal with the Catholic Bishops' Conference and their stance on what has been happening recently. They say that the church cannot be silenced. And if I read a bit of what they wrote, says the church, by her nature and divine mandate, cannot remain silent in the face of moral and social concerns. When issues arise that threaten human dignity, the integrity of creation, or the common good, such as the grave harm caused by illegal mining, the church has both the right and the duty to speak. This is not partisan politics. It is a moral responsibility rooted in the gospel, their statement said. Let me start with you. Can the church, or must the church speak, or should the church be quiet on issues that confront us?
I'm glad you asked me to speak first, because I side with the church 100%. And not just the church, all religious groups within the country. Because as Ghanaians, even though not all of us are religious, majority are religious, and that is where we have our moral compass. A lot of people would listen to the government if the church added its voice to what the government is saying, you see. And the religious bodies in the church, they are so important that even in Article 1661 of the 1992 Constitution, the composition of the National Media Commission, you have a rep from the Christian bodies. You understand me? And aside the political angle, when you come to faith, the church is a faith-based organization. They make their utterances and their actions based on what they believe in, which others may not believe in. And if you look at the Bible per se, from the book of Genesis, when God placed Adam in the Garden of Eden, he said, dress it, keep it, tend it. So the earth and its cleanliness and its progress, it means a lot to the Christian doctrine. So what the Reverend said, it wasn't a political statement. It was a genuine concern about the water bodies. And if you go back, in 2022, he made similar statements about Galamsey. And I
think he was even part of those who went to the Galamsey
exactly
sites.
Exactly. And during the Galamsey anti-Galamsey protests in front of 37, all those, the churches were instrumental in various protests. So this is not something new. And regarding the Honorable Doctor, she herself is a Christian. I mean, she attends a church that I know of, the Savior Church. However, I can understand her outburst. I honestly think that she may have spoken with emotion. She may have not had any malice per se. She may have spoken with emotion, because I think the particular reverend was tipped to be running mates, if I'm wrong.
No.
This is a different. Okay,
it's different.
Okay,
this is the current chairman of the
current chairman.
Okay.
So I think that he was entitled to say what he said, and the church is also entitled to have come out, because the relationship between church and state has not always been a smooth one. If you look at Europe, even that is even how the Anglican Church came about, when you had friction between the Catholic Church and the royal family. And I don't think the church should stay silent, because when that happens, we are bound to have a lot of problems. And I think the church has handled it well by saying we'll not keep quiet. It's a non-violent organization. There's freedom of religion provided in the Constitution. But my hope is to see Apostle Nyamiche and Dr. Ewusi. I would want to see them together, maybe share a hug or a handshake, because I would call this a fight that is happening at home. You see, that is happening at home. She may be a politician, but she's also a Christian, I suppose, maybe as a religious person. Eventually the dust will settle and we'll all come together to fight the Galamsey, Kankan, and other more pressing issues.
I want to do all men and all ladies, so let me go to Labedu.
Well, so, yes, there is no issue. There is no issue. And so, maybe they are just emphasizing the point, but there's nothing like gagging the church. I'm not sure. That is the last thing this government would ever try. They won't do it. We are not interested. Everybody, we've allowed even politicians to speak their mind, and they are doing it. And the laws of the republic allows them to do so. So why gag a church? I mean, that's the last thing. Madam Doctor and what she said, for me, when you speak and you apologize, for me it ends there. It should end there. There is nothing to explain. I mean, there is nothing to insinuate from it, or, I mean, deduce from it to make. If she was still defending her, then we could be analyzing what has been said and what has not been said. But once she spoke and apologized, I am aware that there's been further engagement, even behind the scenes, that I am aware. I can say that on authority. And so it ends there.
Broken by the Chief of Staff?
I said there's been some engagement. So it ends there. I mean, sometimes it's the best politics we do. And when you are in the mood, sometimes you go overboard. Yeah. It's normal, except one wants to claim sainthood or whatever. But it happens occasionally. If you've not suffered it.
But there are several of politicians who have not, over the years, they've not.
Have not, really, yes. But there are a few that have. Yeah. They, one of those. And then when it happens, for me, I mean, and it's not easy to eat back your words. So if you have someone who says that, oh, this thing I've said, I'm sorry, I give much respect to that person. For me, it ends there. There is nothing to analyze. And so the Catholic bishop, they should be free to say whatever. In fact, they are part of the system. And like lawyer said, you see, the same person said even worse in terms of Hasha. If you listen to what he said during Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's His Excellency's era, he even went to the side and he spoke passionately. And so, I mean, it's not any different. And then for me, what I heard him say, he didn't really say that the challenge we have is as a result of only current. I mean, he spoke about the problem. And we all admit that there's been a problem with Galamsey. Fighting it is what, I mean, we differ. Let's go this route. You didn't do this, you did that.
All right.
But if, as a result of, he commands the Pentecost Church, we have great respect for them. And I'm not sure anybody would want to. So apart from politics, nobody can say much about it, except you want to use it for your political whatever. There's no issue.
Hey, lawyer.
I think that when darkness engulfs the nation, then the church must speak. So I think we shouldn't silence the church at all. And I think the hands and feet of Christ means that it's not just about a sermon. It's not just about, in those four walls, you go home, an hour's service a week, and that ends what the church is. The church is the gathering of the people. And there is no better gathering of the people than being concerned about what's happening with our water bodies and being engaged with society, because the church will die if it doesn't become the hands and feet of Christ, I think. So the church should speak out, and they were absolutely right to, particularly if it's relevant, which it is, and nobody should stop that. But again, I also think that, as leadership was so right in crying for that scenario in terms of asking for forgiveness, I think leadership should also ask for forgiveness about, ECG and different things.
And you've done this. As for you, I never thought you'd do that.
And resolve.
Don't follow her.
No, because you know what? I mean, even printing. You're sitting at home. Yes, you have to get to work. But before you go to work, you want to print. You want to do certain things. And tonight situation has to stop.
We don't pass this stage.
Our incompetence is always around their neck. I mean, on this matter, quite frankly, I didn't even want to talk about it. But I think, Honorable here has been, a little different today. I mean, most people from the NDC I meet around this table are quite respectful. But it looks like this second coming in general has been marred by a lot of intolerance, if you want to look at it. Yeah, and I'll give you examples. There have been unilateral arrest of people for making Facebook posts for...
Don't go there.
Several people.
Don't go there.
I'm going to make because I didn't interrupt you, so I'm just going to ignore what you're saying.
Hey.
There's been a string of intolerance.
even on journalists. I remember Gordon stole reports to Iyoko or something. He's at Movement TV. Asase, Wilberforce. So this, I'm not even talking about people from the MPP that you've been arresting at will. I mean, Chairman Abonye is unwell because every time you feel like it, you go and pick him for doing absolutely nothing.
Wow.
Saying things that you don't like, things that you said worse off. And this particular woman, I mean, I do come across her video from time to time. She has said, I mean, terrible things about the flag bearer of the MPP. I'm not going to repeat it and give her the dignity of that. It's not worth talking about. But I think, you know, if you exhibit that kind of character, I get to a point where, you know, you're going to run into some trouble if you believe that you can say anything whenever you feel like. I mean, we all have to be respectful of each other and of the things we say, especially when the issue is about Galamsey. We were in this country, the NDC in opposition at that time, literally were sponsoring groups to do protests. That's how bad this Galamsey matter.
You don't do it. How did NDC sponsor group?
And now the Galamsey is where your own president
you
comes out to say my own people are involved.
How did NDC sponsor groups?
You don't do anything to say. The president said
please let her respond. Please, how did NDC?
There were people doing protests on Galamsey almost.
And NDC, you have evidence that NDC sponsored them.
Has the matter and has Galamsey?
Make your point without that.
Do you see the?
How did NDC sponsor them?
There's a well-known NDC person there, Felicity Nelson. Is she not an appointee of your government now?
So how did NDC
That is not what I'm talking about. You know the truth.
What is the truth? You could make your point.
Knowing you people, tomorrow you could have BNI arrest me for this and I'll explain. I'm not surprised.
You see, this whole thing,
that you are. You arrested Kofi, the former...
do you know Bobby Ansah? Have you just come into this country?
NEIP...
are you going there? Do you know Bobby Ansah?
You kept on arresting...
Do you know Dr. Asenfufro?
And someone comes up and says, I will deal with you.
Have you just come into this country?
And now that's what we are talking about. You're telling me about Apia Stadium. Do you not realize that Ghanaians
you want to... Apia Stadium was arrested in Kumasi.
They are
carried to Accra.
You have been in
Students even spoke about the then president. The students were dismissed.
Let's count the tensions down.
Students.
Will we be right? You know, Julius.
Can we always do
Julius's name starts with J, right?
Which of the
Julius?
Honorable
chief of staff.
Your chief of staff.
I like him.
I like him,
but he went to my school.
Why do you say our chief of staff?
He's a very humble man.
Yes.
And so just like in the Bible says Jesus was.
Jesus
we said something about the apology. Have you listened to the apology? It wasn't very far from unconditional. You see, I didn't want to talk about the issue. I was going to...
Because you decided to do politics with it. You decided to do politics. Must you always do politics?
It's fine.
No, that is your time.
Must you always do
when is the president going to start arresting the people, his own people?
Have you just come into this country? Do you remember what happened under your tenure?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
No, that's not the issue.
This one says...
That's the issue.
Oh, please. Okay. So, glorious birthday to Jaden. Enonyam Otutu Owusu Odame. Jaden Enonyam Otutu Owusu Odame. Prayer and... Okay. May God exceptionally bless him. Make him a significant and relevant sign and wonder unto his family and generation. May he have an upper hand in life, school, and in all situations. In Jesus' name, we love him dearly. Okay, so this is from the producer of SMS, Sami Odame, to his lovely son, Jaden Enonyam Otutu Owusu Odame. Your father says, may the good Lord exceptionally bless you, make you a significant and relevant sign and wonder unto your family and your generation. May the Lord himself have an upper hand in your life, school, and in all situations. In Jesus' name, they love you. Happy birthday. And also happy birthday to Martha Yale of Royal Streams International. Martha Yale of Royal Streams International, happy birthday to you. Okay, so that is that there. Thank you very much to lawyer Kwame Botio. He's a lawyer and political commentator. My own good friend, Dr. Ekia. Why do I always forget your surname?
No, but give her the data of people her government arrested during their tenure. Maybe she wasn't in
so.
So you were voted into power to do the same thing.
Your record. It's just your record.
If it was the same thing, then there was no need changing.
No, it's not about that.
No, the people of Ghana,
there are lawyers here.
The mandate, expecting better.
There is always
disappointed them.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Head of Chambers at Clinton Consultancy, Bernard Bediakubedu is MP for Agric. Thank you for watching us, and do stay with us again because we have a lot more here on the AM show. To you, my family. Oh, please, this one they are allowed. Okay. Please, it's fine. So to everybody who wished me well and prayed for me on my birthday yesterday, I'm grateful. Thank you very much. You made the day very special for me. Look, I couldn't answer all the texts that came. Too many. All the calls and the beautiful gift. My wife showered me with a beautiful gift on the day. To you, my wife Abigail Abenam Ponsa, I'm grateful to you for that gift that you gave me. My children made it exceptional. And to all of you, wherever you are, who sent me text, those who sent money, I'm grateful to. I can't mention it, but I'm grateful to you. I have friends and to you, my friends in Anda, Mlabasi, Kabo Weslobonya, Mamaza Yiram Zemua, Naivali as well, Yira Anda Mane. We have more for you here on the show. Hey, okay, this one is familiar. We'll take a break, we'll be back. But this one says Ghana backs Chief State Attorney Dr. Adusu for its lost role. Oh, okay, this is good news there. Oh wow! Oh, so she's gone on to it loss.
Well, they've nominated her as a candidate, so hopefully that will go through. Strongly backed by the Attorney General, who believes in female leadership.
Okay, all right, thank you. We'll take a break here. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,000 247.
Hey, Abili, wabadim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
Shield silicone paint repels water, dispels water vapor, is washable, self-cleaning, and durable. Now, you can appreciate how and why Shield silicone paint is super strong and thus able to do what other paints cannot do. Shield silicone paint from Azar Group since 1921.
As 2030 approaches, it is time to assess and celebrate the SDG achievements of women.
He4She champions and organizations in Africa and the diaspora.
Women in Sustainability Africa, WISA, in partnership with the UN Global Compact, the Ministry of Gender,
Children and Social Protection Ghana, the Office of the Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability Ghana,
University of Ghana Department of Economics and EIB Network presents
the second Women in Sustainability Africa Africa WISA Festival under the theme Empowering Women for the Economic Sustainability of Africa.
Date Friday 1st May 2026. Time 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Venue City Conference Center, University of Ghana, Legon.
This is a call to support and amplify the effort of women,
He for She champions, women groups, NGOs,
corporate institutions, and civil society organizations leading gender and SDG efforts across Africa and the diaspora.
Special guest of honor, Honorable Agnes Namomolate,
Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection Ghana.
Guest of honor, Honorable Isifu Seidu,
Minister of States for Climate Change and Sustainability Ghana.
Convener Nana Yasewa Sapo, Founder and President, Women in Sustainability Africa.
Special guest, Professor Priscilla Chumesi Bafo,
Associate Professor, University of Ghana, Department of Economics.
Tolulope Louis Tamoka, and Dr. Mrs. Gifty Owusu Ezekiel.
Special guest, Bishop E.O. Ansa, General Overseer, Eternal Life Church. Special guest, Nilgun Zaimoglu, President, Women's Development Association, Kajiga, Turkey.
Ambassador Dr. Mercy Gilbert, Ajwa Ajechu,
Dr. Charity Binka.
Guest speakers, Juliet Ibrahim,
Madam Charity Akotia,
Lydia Abe,
Pearl Poku,
Yaira Agbofa,
Queen Mothers Association of Ghana. Performances, look out for sustainable fashion performance by Revival.org and the ladies from Kantamanto Upcyclers Association.
Music performance by Lali and Lola, and comedy performance by Jacinta. Sponsors, APSA, Nestle, Beaver Drinks, Saks by Boundary Road,
GH Media School, Shape Healthcare, Media Partners, Nigeria, Zambia, Kenya, Uganda, Ghana.
Register for free at www.womeninsustainabilityafrica.org for more information.
WhatsApp or call 0202 733 1444.
Changing, so should you. If you're dreaming, don't be afraid. And in the valleys, keep your head up high. Dare to dream with Puma drinks. Yeah, believe it, you can achieve. Oh yeah, clap your hands for the whole new vibe. Make we set the vibe. Oh yeah, come alive. Let me hear you.
Puma Drinks, a whole new vibe. Another quality product from Casa Precon.
This advert is FDA approved.
Did you know that Ghana's Children's Act Section 91 clearly says,
no person shall engage a child in exploitative labor.
That means children must not be made to do work that deprives them of their education, health, or development.
Hazardous work?
That is not allowed. Working in stone quarries, carrying heavy loads as kayaye, hawking on busy streets in the scorching sun, being used as domestic servants in homes, or diving into dangerous waters to untangle nets, rowing canoes for hours under the hot sun, and working all day without food or rest.
Yet, too many of our children are trafficked from towns and villages across Ghana to the shores of the Volta Lake, trapped in fishing boats, robbed of their childhood, and exposed to danger every single day.
Human trafficking means the recruitment, transportation, harboring, or trading of persons within and across national borders for purposes of exploitation.
I want to go to school, but now I only work.
This is child trafficking.
It is a crime.
It is against the law and it must stop now.
Parents, guardians, community leaders, protect our children.
Report suspicious movement of children and do not give your child away to strangers promising jobs.
Together, let's end child trafficking now.
This message is brought to you by the International Justice Mission with support from the National Commission for Civic Education.
We rehash just what you have seen so much, and it's safe to say that Ernest Menu is still my senior colleague and has even advanced better. He is a communication specialist with IJM, and this morning we're talking about the wet ones, and he'd be explaining why the wet ones on a wet morning. Ernest, it's good to have you. Good morning.
Thank you, Emefa. Good morning. I'm happy to be here. A lot of memories.
I know, the lights and all of that.
So I was on Joy Prime a few minutes ago and I posted a picture on my status and everyone is asking if I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Only for 20 minutes. So I'm back. And I'm
then let's get the best out of the Ernest in this 20 minutes. So I see that you're drawing people's attention to a very important issue through art.
Right.
And I've seen that you've even zeroed it down to a title. I like to think it's a play, is it?
Absolutely.
Okay, The Wet Ones. Tell me about it first, generally.
Yes, so because you started with what we're doing with the art, so let me start from there. So IJM, our focus in Ghana really is human trafficking. So if you want, Emefa, forgive me, you're the one asking the questions, but let me be a politician now and just ask a question and answer. So I think we can start by understanding what we do as IJM.
Okay.
So International Justice Mission, we've been in Ghana for 10 years. We're in the 11th year now, but we're in 19 countries across the world. And we're dealing with human rights with various projects. So in the 19 countries, in Ghana, it's human trafficking. In Uganda, we're dealing with issues of women, violence against women and children, spousal abuse. When you go to Uganda, it's police brutality. So various rights issues are across the world. In Romania, online sexual exploitation. And we're working with governments to strengthen the justice system, enforce the law, to deter criminals and to protect the vulnerable. Basically, that's our job. And so human trafficking, as you know, in Ghana, is the job of the state. But the framework allows for partnership, and that is where we come in to support the government to be able to clamp down on the activities of human trafficking.
Is this to suggest that it's quite a serious issue in Ghana?
It is pervasive, Emefa, and sometimes when we say it, people are asking, especially when you talk about trafficking on the Lake Volta, which is what we initially started, and now we've broadened our scope generally into the Agric sector because it's happening in the cocoa farms and in all the other areas as well. There are a lot of children, a lot of people who are trafficked from various communities, and we call them the source communities. So mainly they go to the coastal areas. So when you go to the Winneba areas, when you go to sometimes Ada and they traffic them to the Volta Lake. And we have trafficking also happening sometimes from the north down to the middle belt in the cocoa farms and in all these other areas. So it is quite pervasive.
Has it become sophisticated as well?
It is becoming sophisticated. It is becoming sophisticated, and I'm happy you mentioned that because it's also transnational. So there are people who are trafficked across borders. You know of what is happening in the Gulf regions especially, and that is terrible. That's commonplace now. To tell you how bad it is, just a few weeks ago we had a program with heads of faith-based organizations. And we had the head of the anti-human trafficking unit, Superintendent Ayariga, with us. This is the police service. And he indicated that within the space of 1 year, the reports they have indicate that there's an increase from 95 to 1,202 cases just within 1 year.
Wow.
And this is the record as we have from the police service, because then there's immigration service as well, there's IOCO, and there's all these other bodies who have similar operations of human trafficking, and they report to the Human Trafficking Secretariat under the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. So that secretariat, Abna and her people, they have a bird's eye view of how big this is. But if you just think about what the police is reporting, then you you know that this is bad.
Okay. It means that you're even bringing it home to want to use art to tell
Absolutely.
the story.
So Arise has been, we're working to enforce the law, we're working to deter criminals, but there's also the advocacy part of human trafficking, where people need to be aware, where policy must be driven, where, we need to support fundraising efforts and all of that, building capacity and everything. So we use, Arise started as the Justice Concert, and it was initially to activate the church, because Emefa, the church has a role to play. And if you come see the play on the 2nd of May, you would see that sometimes the people who are supposed to be helping us in the church are either complicit or ignorant. So we decided that we would use Arise to activate the church community, to tell them that you have a role to play. We serve a God who is a God of righteousness and justice. A lot of the times we highlight the righteousness part, which is good.
They think justice stayed in the Old Testament.
But God is a God of justice. The Bible says that his throne is established by righteousness and justice. So it's that important. So we ought to... So we ought to play our role as a church. So that's how it started. And you know that we love our music. So over the years, we've done music concerts. We've also done some bit of poetry and spoken word and dance. But there are various art forms. So we thought to ourselves, why not use play? Because there's a growing appetite for that now. We see a lot of people going to the theater now to watch either an Uncle Ebo play or George Quay and Nash or Koipo Communications, So we thought that let's leverage that then to drive home the message, to paint the image, let people see for themselves, have that image captured in their eye and in their mind of how terrible the situation is. Then you know that human trafficking is not happening elsewhere, it's happening right where you are. And you have a role to play.
Okay, of course, you mentioned giants in this theater industry. I see April Communications as well, Image Bureau as well. I know that George is intense. George is intense.
George is crazy. That's what I like to call him.
I was being civil with the words, but by all means, with the permission.
Yeah, but absolutely creative. So we've seen George's work. He did The Gods Are Not to Blame. There was the other one I've forgotten. It's a Ghanaian play, and then the very first one. Yes, and then the very first one, Run for Your Wife. They did at the National Theatre. I was there too, and I love to watch them. I'm always there. But there was one they did also, Beyond the Walls, which talked about the realities of inmates in the prisons. And that for me was the trigger. I thought that, look, this is good. And we had the politicians in there. They spoke truth to power. Even at some points it was uncomfortable for me. But at the end of the play, the politicians, the people in there, and all the players who had a role to play with our security and with our prisons and reformation admitted that this was the reality, and they were ready to change things, to move policy. And so that's exactly what we seek to do.
Hoping this one also
we're hoping that the frontliners, the people who actually mandated, will be there. We have sent out invitations, but if you're watching me, you're a police officer, you work with the Department of Social Welfare, you work with the Attorney General's Department, and the Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Interior, all of you have a role to play. This is for you. We want you to be there. The churches especially, our faith-based leaders, the traditional leaders as well, our DCEs, everybody, we want you to be there. So we want everybody there, but we want these people also there.
Most importantly.
Not because they are unaware, but there are different perspectives to this. We want to, for them to see that this is getting sophisticated, that this is changing, and that there's, but also to honor them, because really some of them have done great job, and you will see in the play. I'm just giving a bit of it away. Where police officers are actively working, and yet there are others who are a bit nonchalant about it, maybe because of lack of knowledge or awareness. So everybody has a role to play, and so it's free.
Good to know. I like it where the free is.
Yes.
The next question I was
it's free. We activated the tickets online.
Okay.
700 online, and there were hard tickets that we sent to our partners. It got finished when? Last week or 2 weeks ago?
Ghana there and only free.
Yes.
Yes. Free.
So we want everybody there, but yes, at the National Theatre. 2nd May, 4 p.m. sharp. You know that when it comes to theatre, it's not Ghana man time.
Yes.
So 4 p.m. sharp, we are there. If you're driving there, you know it can be crazy at the National Theatre. Come early, drive, get your popcorn with your family. You sit and you watch.
We're not going to end this conversation without you explaining the title.
I wish George were here to do this, but it is not what you're thinking.
Everything you say is not. This is the disclaimer. It's not Ernest. I know though Ernest got married not long ago, but it's
not me. It's not me. It's on George. So when you see George, you put it on him. But really, the inspiration for this is for all the people who are trafficked, who die on the lake or on the sea. Traditionally, there's a belief that their souls live there. And so from the playwright's view, these are people who are living in our waters and are telling the story from that perspective. And there's a line in the play that says, the water kept us not because we wanted to be there, but because you... And I'm paraphrasing, because you pushed us there, sort of to say. So the souls of all these children who were trafficked to the Volta Lake, to everywhere else on our seas, they still live. And we believe that traditionally. And so they're telling the stories from there. And they're saying that we don't want any more children to come in here. Because really, Emefa, you know it. People are trafficked and they die.
Yeah.
We push all these young children to go and untangle nets, you know, and sometimes because of the tree stumps, they die because they don't know how to swim. They die, they drown. And so that is the perspective of the playwright with the title.
So you have collected.
I think I've tried.
So you've collected. I like the title, and because I'm from the Volta region, I can relate to this challenge that you're hoping to curb, or you're helping curb. And so the wet ones quickly just came to mind.
Right.
Trafficking really starts right at the front of our rivers, the lake, whichever, anything that looks like water, even in bowls, when water is there, we're trafficking young people over there. So, well, Ernest, we can have this conversation on and on and on, but let's see how it goes on the 2nd
of... On the 2nd of May, which is just this Saturday, please. Yes. At 4 p.m. we start, so make sure you're there before, because the gate will be open before 4, so we are all settled and we can start at 4 p.m. If you have a ticket by divine providence and thanks to IJM, please make sure that you're there. If for some reason you cannot show up, hand over the ticket. Do not deny somebody, because our phones are still buzzing, Emefa. People want to be there.
Quickly,
but
how did they get the ticket? What ticket is run out?
It's run out. But because I was coming on your show, I managed to squeeze one for a lucky viewer. Emefa, we love you like that. So
okay, that's 2-1 for me.
I was taking this to radio. So
my Wednesday in the Kojo. Okay, so I'm going to find a way to have somebody win this, because I need you to hear this message. Send it across. We do not want you to miss out. So 2nd May, just this month, May,
Saturday,
4 p.m. at the National Theatre. This ticket admits one. I'm going to figure out how we're going to have somebody win. Friday is a holiday, so you never know. I'll be just mighty generous. But Ernest, thank you for having me. A good job at IJM. We'll be knocking at your door.
Definitely. And see you there, Emefa.
Of course. I'll hijack it. All right, so guys, this is how we wrap the show. My name is Emefa Akosua-Adeti. I did this with the birthday boy, belated birthday to the Ahanta Pele again. But please stay for Joy News Desk. Denisia Pomaje is up next.
Across Ghana, in communities big and small, ordinary people are doing extraordinary things. This is the Joy News Impact Makers Awards 2026, celebrating those who are changing lives, shaping futures, and building hope. From Bimbila in the northern region